Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Council on Future Conflicts, episode 673. Mina Malays, which is which was the updated title for segment number 1, and the Commies are coming. Watcher, I love a good alliteration, and since we're not talking about Iran, really, based on the notes. It's not your fault because I didn't really make a thing out of it. Though that makes me realize, Joe, we need to put the strikes that didn't happen apparently into the notes so we can cover that. I do find, so after you mentioned that Colonel made a statement on it, I found the statement, but it's really shocking how little publicity the strikes got from official sources.
Yes, because they didn't want it to. Because they would have to admit that Iran is not abiding by anything and won't abide by an agreement.
Well, that's the thing that I kind of like keep coming back to is it's either there's a narrative that the Trump administration wants to perpetuate that there is a split within Iran, but there really isn't, and I'm leaning towards like a 50-50 on this one. Or there is a legit split in Iran, and as long as the people that Trump is dealing with are saying the right things, he's willing to say, "Oh, well, then these are people doing bad things. I'm hitting them, but I'm not hitting you guys." It's like, you know what I mean? Like he's compartmentalizing the strikes. So as long as he's not striking the faction that he's dealing with, then ultimately it's just a rogue element, not worth discussing.
I don't know how you know what faction is manning a boat.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. I think the only thing that you would be able to determine is just the behavior is not the behavior that the guy you have on the phone is saying that he's doing, right? It's like, I swear to God, I'm not doing that.
Everyone keeps telling me that it's rogue commanders doing this and that and the other thing, but that's not how it works in Iran. You don't make a move without approval from higher above, right? There's not a bunch of just rogue people running around doing whatever they want in Iran. That's not a function of their society.
Yeah. The irony is, Joe, and there is one exception that I'll note to this, and this needs to go in that section too. I just remembered this one. The military power in Iran is the IRGC, not the actual military, right? The military basically just sits around and waits to be recruited to do whatever the IRGC tells them to do. The only dissent that we've seen has been from the, ironically enough, Iraqi Popular Mobilization Forces that the IRGC brought in to help bolster their internal security during, that started to fray during the the protests, right? Over the weekend, 5 PMF, or not over the weekend, over the last 48 hours, 5 PMF personnel were killed by IRGC or Basij. I never really saw exactly. I think I did see IRGC. And so it's just, there were some interesting fractures going on with some of these, but the fact that one group is Iraqi and the other is Iranian. Joe, have you ever heard of Iraqis and Iranians shooting at each other?
There's still a lot of animosity from the 1980 to 1988 Iran-Iraq war, which, despite being to most a sideline in history, was essentially the Shia versus Sunni
war, right?
Exactly. And it was horribly brutal, with massive civilian and military casualties on both sides. So when they tell you one Arab country has never invaded another, they're lying to you.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I think that the PMF units come from the strain of Shiites who fought tooth and nail with the Americans for years in Iraq, and then came out of that, relatively unscathed because we focused really heavily on the Sunni terrorists, Al Qaeda and all that kind of stuff.
The Sunni triangle,
yes. Right. And so, so they've got a. That's where remember that steroid guy came out. I guess he was a Mahdi militia guy like early on, but then became a Iraqi police guy, and then he was a PMF guy in the end. I think he's more of an influencer than a fighter, but he sure likes wearing a plate carrier around. But these guys roll into Iran, and I get the feeling that they're just ready to fucking, they're chomping at the bit to get their shit on. So it'd be interesting to see where that goes. And I think, Joe, you're exactly right. There's no real rogue faction within the military or within the IRGC. It's just the IRGC not doing what they're being told to do. Because guess what? The IRGC run the fucking country.
Yes, they do.
All right. Anyway, so got an interesting show for you today. Chat, good to see you all again. Let me kind of go through. We had a couple. American Dreamer has gifted 1 Future Conflict membership, so thank you for doing that. Some lucky person got that. A lot of great people in the chat. I can see Derna, and I am Uncle Bob, and Squishy Hunter. All the good morning. If you guys aren't following Jim's YouTube channel, give him a follow. He's a good man. Jay Clark, Karen, all kinds of great folks. Oh, Patrick 7 for $5 says, isn't there a chance that the side he thinks is working with us is also the side that isn't? I could never. Yeah. See, that's just it, right? Now, the one deference I'll give to anybody who has the fucking CIA, the NSA, and all the other organs of national intelligence working for them or working with them, as you may not think that they're paying attention to what Trump says. I think there is the ability to know things that we don't know. That being said, I also think that, 2 things could be true, that somebody from Iran is saying nice things to Trump and also doing whatever the fuck they want. So it's impossible to know, I think, really.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump is talking. He's not negotiating with the IRGC. He's negotiating with the people that the IRGC is allowing to negotiate. I think the pragmatists in the IRGC are not playing against the militant side. I think the pragmatists are playing both sides against the middle so that they can make a smart bet if everything goes tits up. Mega Mob Bass, love that name. Morning, fellas, for $9.99. Stopping in for the distraction this morning. My close friend, mutually assured, and I could use some prayers. We both lost a very close friend this morning.
Sorry to hear that. Man. So.
Yeah, praying for you, brother. That sucks. Yeah, I mean, I know, I've been there. I think, unfortunately, too many of us have. All right, I'm always good for.
Oh, I'm muted.
Really,
sorry.
Really, the worst problem with Islam is its conception of heaven is a carnal paradise. That's why. No, this is not the worst problem with Islam. It's amongst the problems with Islam.
I was going to say, if I had to pick a worst, I'd say that it's that Muhammad literally declares that he's like, in various readings, Muhammad basically tells everyone that he's not the true prophet by his own words. But
listen, though, if you actually read the Apocrypha and you read the Book of Enoch, the fact that Muhammad claims that Gabriel specifically is the one who appeared to him in the cave is telling, because Gabriel's specific job was to destroy the false leaders and to destroy the Watchers and Nephilim, sorry, Watcher, who who violated God's will. So the fact that Gabriel was in a cave talking to you was not a net positive in the eyes of the entire Word of God. So.
Yeah, and so he also
basically literally says that if what I say is not true, then I will be struck down by one of the people that we're conquering, and then he dies by literally getting poisoned by a woman that he's conquering, because he's a retard, by the way.
So my take on this is that yes, Muhammad talked to something in the cave, but it wasn't a fucking angel. His entire religious experience is demonically inspired, in my
I mean, how many
humble
times in the
opinion.
Bible did the devil appear as anything but the devil, right?
The Lord of Lies does not come telling you. He's not as dumb as Hassan Piker and come right out and tell you exactly who's doing what.
Thank you. That's a good transition.
Oh, no.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yes, we've got a hell of a show for you today, ladies and gentlemen.
But first, we have some comedy. Well, kind of. I don't know. Today's not actually comedy. Today is more just a comedic delivery of a good message.
He's just saying it out loud. I mean.
After talking about the demonically inspired Islam and people having bad days and needing prayer and whatever else that we've talked about thus far, I think we need a little Jesus in our lives, and I think this is the man to bring it to us. So let's not AI, but definitely a humorist.
I'm sorry. I just saw the Cash App fucking thing in the corner.
Yeah,
I'm dying.
Man.
I'm dying.
Sick. A woman can't raise children. You can't raise children with tits. You got to have balls. You got to have a man. And for a man to not take responsibility to raise his children or to be executed, you have a responsibility before God. And we don't want to hear that. Women's rights. No. We got the sickest, poorest, economically deficient people on the planet. The other thing is this, is that when that boy Mondami came on the scene, this nigga is a Muslim. He is a jihadist, if you will, intifada, if you must, Hamas supporting, anti-Jesus Muslim. And niggas are talking about he got a good program. I don't give a damn how good his program is. He's a Muslim and Jesus is Lord. And I'm voting for him and I ain't tell nobody else to vote for him. The hell's wrong with you? I'm tired of the Democrat Party making bitches out of our women and pussies out of our men. I'm tired of it. I've had enough of it.
We must protect this man at all costs.
I know.
He's got a bunch of great videos out there. There's a lot of great things that he says. So he pointed out that if it wasn't for the white man, Africans would all be dead of disease. So he's probably not wrong. So,
Well,
but that'll probably end our YouTube stream shortly. But that was good.
I mean, if having a little Jesus in your life ends our YouTube, then I mean, best way possible to lose it, I guess you could say.
Speaking of good news, the administration has found yet another way to combat the illegal immigration problem. This one's more of a stick it in your eye kind of thing, but I love it.
Yeah. So you gotta hate it when when sanctuary cities, basically reap the rewards of their actions. U.S. drawing up plans to halt immigration customs processing at sanctuary city airports.
You're getting exactly what you asked for, right?
Now, here's my problem with this, Joe. Let me talk to you about a certain flight itinerary that goes to Detroit from an international flight on June 30th. I'm just saying that this could affect some people differently than others, but I hope I doubt it applies to U.S. citizens. It would probably only apply to, U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullins said that the Trump administration is drawing up plans to stop processing international travelers and cargo and major. No, it sounds like they're basically halting like SeaTac and LAX and a lot of these sanctuary cities they're halting their ability to receive international flights. Is what this reads like. Let's see, to stop processing international travelers and cargo at major U.S. airports in sanctuary cities that have declined to cooperate with the immigration crackdown. That would have a fucking huge economic impact on these cities. Let's see, Mullen told Fox News Channel Sean Hannity in an interview broadcast on May 26th that he had met with the White House officials, but emphasized no decision has been made. Okay, all right. It means they got to think it through a little bit because this could have other implications, right? Last week, Reuters and other media reported that Mr. Mullen had privately told U.S. travel executives in May that the department could opt to stop customs and immigration processing of international travelers. He cites airports in cities such as Denver, Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York City, Newark, Seattle, San Francisco. No Detroit on the list, but I'm pretty sure Detroit is a sanctuary city.
Cool. Detroit?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny. People are saying which airports are left. Okay. I have news for you. There are a lot of airports that have international flights. And if the US says that you can't fly these flights into these regions, what will happen is the flights that were scheduled to go into those regions will get canceled, and new flights will start to get scheduled to other airports that are technically international airports but aren't currently seeing the amount of international travel because there isn't the demand for it. But the demand will suddenly be artificially created by these government orders. So what you're going to see is airports in red states suddenly start to process a whole bunch of people who will then need rental cars and places to stay. And
Well, what it'll do is it'll cause them to become the hubs of the wheel versus the spokes, right? Like, so for instance, let's say Dallas is, or I know Dallas is probably not a good example. Maybe San Antonio is not a sanctuary city, right? So instead of flying into DFW, you might end up having to fly into San Antonio. Now the problem is these are smaller cities, and thus they wouldn't be able to handle these big fucking airports like in Atlanta and SeaTac and LAX. They're designed to be these. So this could definitely impact things. You would hope there's more. There are ways to get around it. But, I'm actually asking Rock real quick what international airports aren't located in sanctuary cities. I'm just kind of curious.
Look, not to blow my own spot up here, but like, I live in the middle of nowhere. There is an international airport less than 30 miles from me.
Yeah, but there's international airports, because the one in Kalispell is called Glacier International because one crop duster plane lands from Canada every week. It's not actually an international airport. You can't get there from anywhere else.
Yeah.
Currently.
A classic example, right?
Let's see. Major airports unlikely affected that are not in sanctuary jurisdictions. Says here that Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta is not. Georgia state law bans sanctuary policies and requires cooperation for state funding. So Atlanta would be okay. It seems like DFW. Texas has a strict state laws prohibiting sanctuary policies, so that would be okay. Miami, Orlando, Tampa. So notice here, it's red states, right? Georgia, Texas, Florida, North Carolina. Phoenix is not a sanctuary city. So there are a lot of. That's
what I'm saying. There's a lot of big airports that aren't in.
So here's the one. So it makes a separate list of ones that are most likely: Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, New York area, all of them. LaGuardia, JFK, Newark, San Francisco, Seattle, Philadelphia, Boston. Yeah. So a lot of these, probably. Baltimore as well, which is a fucking huge airport.
Well, it said San Francisco. You got to add a bunch of those onto there. Like, it's going to be San Francisco, San Diego.
I don't know that San Diego is. San Diego probably is a sanctuary city, even though it's fairly conservative.
Almost every city in the state is.
Yeah, but San Diego's not a very big airport, though. Honestly,
it'd be cool.
Anyway,
if state where the governor made it illegal for there to be a sanctuary city in his state.
Well, right, and so like that's where a state like Georgia, even though Atlanta is a very, like DEI kind of city, the state basically keeps those mayors in check, which is exactly what these states should do. Every fucking
Colorado
red state.
attempted to become a sanctuary city, and the governor came down on them hard, and they immediately retracted their policies. So.
It's funny how that works, right, Joe? It's like when you hit them in the pocketbook, all of a sudden they shut the fuck up,
Well, what's crazy is they want to become a sanctuary city, but there are more mule deer than Mexicans inside the city limits of Helen. Sanctuary for who?
So this is not in the odds and ends, but somebody asked, has anybody heard about the Ebola in the U.S. Any side? No, it's probably not a psyop. It probably is, but let me explain to you who it almost certainly is. It's either a traveler that was in the region when this all went down, or it's a healthcare worker that went down there to do aid work. This happens pretty consistently every time there's a breakout. Has it ever spread very far in the U.S.? No.
I did see something in my timeline about a U.S. specific quarantine but that's within the Congo, right? Not, it's Congo, right? That's where the thing is going on.
The DRC. Well, that's where the Ebola River is. So
Yeah. Anyway, so so that I think that there may be some Americans in the Congo that are doing that, but I don't think it is.
Listen, I'm going to say something that's probably a little bit controversial, but not really.
No,
if every outbreak of Ebola continues to begin near the Ebola River, maybe, and hear me out, it's the river that's the problem. What? I know, it's crazy.
Joe, I mean, come on now. That's just ridiculous.
I know.
That's like saying Chinese people are a problem, so maybe we should do something about China.
Well, to get us back on track, gentlemen, are you...
No, why would we want to do that? Go ahead.
Are you sick of winning yet? Because more winning is to be had.
Yeah, so this is... I was really happy to see this because it's like, it's almost like karma is, despite the fact that we as Christians don't believe in karma per se, there are some karma-like aspects that appear to be coming. I'm sure there's some Bible verses that refer to powers in the in the world that what goes around comes around, things like that. Spanish anti-corruption police raid the headquarters of Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's socialist PSOE party. Piece of shit OE. I don't know what that means, but piece of shit is the first part. The agents were sent to secure evidence of an ongoing probe into the alleged illegal financing of the country's ruling party. The raid comes just days after socialist former Prime Minister Jose Luis Rodrigo Zapatero was indicted on corruption charges linked to the Venezuelan regime.
Venezuelan regime?
What? No. Joe, it's almost like Pedro Sanchez started getting uppity as soon as Venezuela, like he was upset about that. Today's raid
decided that Pedro Sanchez needed to learn something from history because his recent actions just act as though history began in 1980, right?
Yeah, Caravaggio got it. Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. Yep, that's exactly right. All right, today's raid is linked to an unrelated investigation overseen by Spain's anti-corruption prosecutor. Many of the closest circle around PM Sanchez, including his wife and brother, are already under criminal investigation for corruption. Let's see. The wife, formerly charged with corruption and influence peddling. His brother indicted and scheduled to stand trial for malfeasance, fraud, and influence peddling. Let's see. The former transportation minister, Sanchez's former right-hand man and powerful Socialist Party heavyweight, is currently awaiting a verdict following a trial for allegedly receiving kickbacks. It's almost like communists are fucking corrupt. Wow. I mean, water is wet.
Comment on the screen. I asked politely in the chat, but nobody saw it. Put Derna's comment on the screen.
Yeah.
Some of you guys obviously don't get the joke, but that's hilarious.
Pretty
Sanchez
shit,
is dirty.
obnoxious enterprises. Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
going to say petty shit, obnoxious enterprises.
Some might say he's a dirty Sanchez.
I could continue to go on, but these are people you've never heard of doing things that all communists do in every communist regime. The scandals are growing so big that there is now talk of the government having to resign and hold snap elections later this year. Shocking, I'm telling you. It's almost like you get what you deserve when you fucking vote for communists.
Listen, if the headline on the Madrid Times today doesn't say "Dirty Sanchez" in big block letters, I'll be disappointed.
Let me share something here, Watcher. I think we didn't have a AI video, but I'm pretty sure this is AI. Let's see here. Putting in the private chat there.
Okay, hold on. I will show it, but I have to address something from the chat. Hunch says, Scott, it's almost as politicians are corrupt, no matter the ideology. That's okay. That is true. However, that is like saying, hi, I have a box of something and you have 3 fucking pallets of something. We're the exact same. It's the exact same. Totally. Like, people need to stop doing this. It's the same thing the leftists do. Here is a thing that is mildly tangentially the same thing. That means they're all the exact same thing.
Well, I don't disagree, right? Here's the thing, right? Like, so I draw a distinction between servants, leaders, and politicians, right? Politicians are people who can never truly believe anything because, like, politics is literally saying you believe X, I believe Y, so we need to come up with W so that nobody is truly happy, but everybody is happy enough just so we can get through the fucking day. Which means that they can't. Politicians, by definition, can't be ideologues. The problem is when ideologues become politicians, they always get high on their own supply, and so it's kind of like the whole too much power is when infinite power corrupts infinitely, right?
Well, yes, but also like here's another part of this. You can absolutely say that human beings are kind of like a machine and language is kind of like the operating system, right? Words have meanings and they have specific meanings inside people's heads. The way that socialism is structured, just from the basis up, inspires corruption in a way that any other thing does not. Like, everything is corrupt. Socialism is uniquely, incredibly corrupt. When the state is administering everything, the state has the most incentive to be corrupt.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that when you allow the markets to dictate prices of things, then greed, which is generally good for the individual, which means that individuals' ideas and their beliefs actually drive their actions. But when you try to say, well, your beliefs don't matter, we're going to set the price at X because it's good for everybody, then all of a sudden the person who sets the prices is allowed to essentially completely skim off the entire economy. And so the level of corruption that occurs within a system like that is just exponentially greater than what an individual can do on an individual basis.
Absolutely.
All right.
The following is a good representation of that, actually.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. So what you got here is Cristina Kirchner, Hugo Chavez, Fidel Castro, Maduro. You've got all of
your audio.
Whoa.
That thing.
All right.
Oh, it's
Is it good now? All right.
Yep.
Sorry, chat. You got to understand. Like, my audio before we even went live today was doing this weird kind of rubber band thing, and it'd get fucked up, and then it would snap back. So, bear with me. Anyway, it's funny how communists always are doing well.
You know what? American Dreamer's got a good point. Where's Mamdani on that list?
Well, he hasn't had time to think. So first of all, like a good dictator is actually pretty smart, right? And so they only promise enough, right? Where Madami is too fucking stupid for his own good, and this is the reason why he's blowing up in real time, and he will never get.
Mamdani's not on this list because he doesn't lead a country. These are all national leaders.
That's true too. Yeah. Yeah, Mondami is trying to do things, but he doesn't have any of the power to do any of the things that he's trying to do. Like, so for instance, he's getting ready to try to basically take property away from the bad landlords. And then but that's not for the city to own the properties. Oh, no. He's going to then hand those off to NGOs who are basically his his cronies. So it's not even like state control. It's crony. It's like a kleptocracy is what Mondami's trying to do.
I have to say that somebody pointed out that it is largely Jewish landlords that the Islamic communist is trying to seize property from. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I mean, it is New York. I mean, but yes.
First of all, he hasn't explained a legal basis for it. Just said they're going to do it, and they used the term "bad landlord."
Yeah, without really, exactly right. Without really ever defining who's bad. Oh, Jewish. We've been Jewish. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Real quick, over on Rumble, Hunch Dirty Roofer for $5 says, "Watcher, what you see is the economic chaos because the Swift ship is going to overwhelm the airports. This traffic is transferred to." Yeah. I think you're right, and I think if anything stops this whole airport deal, even though this is a great example of something that sounds great on paper. It briefs really well. We all like it. It's if Donald Trump had said it at a rally, everybody would say, "Oh yeah, it's a great idea." But sometimes it's a little more difficult to do these things.
I don't know. There's ways to do this. You could use strategically targeted, and you make it one at a time or 2 at a time, 100%. And you just make it hurt.
Well, right, and so that's what I'm saying. You can't just flip the switch and it changes. You'd have to do it in a measured way because you have. Let's be honest. There's a lot of innocent people who use these airports. As long as you don't impact those people, then the plan can work. You just have to have mitigation strategies built into it. All right, moving on. Oh, hey, real quick before we move on, let's see, we have got. All right, over on YouTube, I'm looking at the live YouTube numbers. We've got 98 people watching over on YouTube right now, and we have. Let's see, let me refresh so I got the right number. And we have 31 likes on YouTube. All right, 96 people now watching, 31 likes. If you are watching on YouTube, go to the bottom of the thing, and I know you can do this on your phone. Okay, if you're listening in a shop like where your radio and you might not be able to come over and hit the like button. But if you are able to do so, hit the like button on your YouTube thing. Now, I'm going to do it separately on Rumble later in the show. So if you want to wait till I do that, you can do that, or you could go ahead and catch up on Rumble. But we'll do the same thing because let me be honest, the Rumble is even worse. The ratio for likes versus views is even worse on Rumble than it is on YouTube. Because I think it's easy.
When you give us,
I know, and because I think YouTube does a better job of making sure it's easy to like a video than Rumble does. So,
yeah.
Speaking of liking things, Old Hong Kong, fan of Texas, welcome, brother.
Oh,
good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good to hear from you. A lot of interesting stuff happening in the news, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a busy world out there, man. I just saw that the Dutch had a little treat with the Chinese in the South China Sea this last 24 hours. I thought it was something worth talking about.
I did not see this at all.
I didn't see that either.
Watch it, look it up and find a link and tag it at the bottom of the odds and ends.
Before this goes any further, ladies, we are not going to be bullied into Hexith photos again today. Moving on. I see you.
I don't have an article.
Yeah.
I just have to give you the summary. So apparently the Netherlands has significantly increased its naval and diplomatic presence in the South China Sea, deploying frigates to the region as part of a strategic pivot to the Indo-Pacific aimed at ensuring freedom of navigation and supporting international law. Boy, somebody got the note.
What was the island? What was the island off of Japan that that Holland owned for a long time. That was they're kind of like because they had the exclusive right to trade with Japan. I can't remember what that was called.
I don't remember the name of it either, but they also controlled Taiwan for a while.
They did.
Whoa! Hold on a second. Before we talk about this, Jim tells you, drops a massive $20 super chat. Thank you, Jim. This really appreciate this. We are literally seeing a repeat of pre-World War World War 11 happening all over the world. Rise in the end. Yeah. So I read your thing earlier about Poland. Let me see if I can go back and find it because it's a decent thing. I just by the way, nice to see you, Ron. Appreciate you. Let's see. Let me find your comment here, Jim. It's about the British making a let me.
Oh, I see. So they attended a training exercise. Were they at Bella Katan?
Yeah, probably. Or they were out talking to somebody. My guess is they're negotiating technology agreements with the Koreans and the Japanese for the next generation of frigates and destroyers.
So they've also pledged that they're going to do this every 2 years.
Cool.
All right. Anyway,
no, Ron, I'm not bad-mouthing your boss. I'm just saying the women want scantily clad photos of your boss, and we don't want them. I was going to ask, Ron, when I saw you in the chat that you're back in South Dakota, did you use your patio to arrive, or did you just drive up the road?
I just want to point out that chicks dig your boss, and Marines do, but chicks dig him more. So
I mean, there's some pretty manly pictures of Ron from back in the day, and that we could dig one of those out and maybe make that a
yeah, but got all the dust on him and stuff. I don't know.
All right. So yeah, guys. I want to drill in real quick. I want to drill into Jim's point here because while I see your meaning, right? I don't know that it's a 1-to-1 matchup, but I'm willing to address this, especially because you've been so generous with your super chat, guys. Let's go around the horn. Joe kind of parallels between the late 30s and now. I think you can see them, but. What you take?
I've been saying this for a very long time. You've been reliving 1939 for quite a while, right? And the rise. Before you all start pounding me with DMs and emails and comments, I'm not taking up Israel's cause. I'm taking up the cause of Jewish people who are not the Israeli government. Yeah. We can't just hate an entire class of people. Can't do it. There's good in every class of people, except maybe Indians. No, I'm just kidding. There are. But you gotta realize that we've been down this road before, and no matter who you insert in that spot, it never ends well. If you think that it does, go watch Hotel Rwanda. Great film. Go watch it.
Gee, it's just weird that a bunch of people whose chief complaint is that they suddenly got discriminated against for their skin color have decided that they are going to discriminate against a bunch of people because of their genetic background. It's been a thing to watch.
Ron Moeller, I hope you stub your toe today. Except for Murphy, we can hate them.
Oh well, then I was holding this back, but I was gonna say one of the other reasons we can't show those pictures of young Ron we have is all the really disturbing foreign men that are staring at his rear end in every one of them. It's odd.
I was going to point out that Ron Moeller has such a great command presence that he's got mountain lions to patrol his property while he's gone, and then he goes and says some stuff like this.
Well, I wasn't going to share this, but since I've got some top cover from one of my bosses, let's be honest, because that's what he is. I'm going to share this because I feel like I feel like it is on message. Chesty Puller, I think I got a lap dance from her once.
Okay, let me ask you this question: how many medals of honor?
Yeah.
Did that man on the screen, Audie Murphy, win?
Enough.
One. Two. Dan Daly. Two.
I mean, let's be honest. How many years did it take Jesse Fuller to win his second Medal of Honor?
Who would win in a fight? Let's be honest. John Basilone. Hold on. Gunny Basilone or Audie Murphy?
Audie Murphy was a scrawny little pipsqueak.
Gunny Basilone would clean the floor with him.
But then, let's be honest. If they were equal size, maybe it would be.
God, this is like a Defense Department comic book, you guys.
Hold on, I got to get some. Carry on. I'll be right back.
By the way, Jim, welcome. You're now a net member again. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. By the way, guys, membership is a great way to support the channel. If you are a quiet member that doesn't like to be all loud and out there with a super chat, membership is a great way to support the channel. We appreciate that. We do not take it for granted. If anything, the memberships are really what allow us to do anything beyond just waking up and talking. And we've got some pretty cool plans coming up. So yeah, it'll be cool. Who would win, Puller or Patton? Well, let's be honest.
Nice.
This did just come off of the wall in my office. I'm just saying.
I mean, you put your money where your mouth is, Joe. We get it.
Well, speaking of funny things that were not on anyone's bingo card, I don't care who you are.
Yeah, so this was a good one, I thought. It's I get it. A lot of people aren't into my fascination with inter-European politics sometimes because I see them as potentially the bulwark against us having to face the Muslim hordes someday. Germany wants to withdraw from the European Union, period. No, the AfD wants to do it, I think. And even that is speculative. Germany's right-wing party, AfD, or Alternative for Deutschland, is rapidly gaining popularity across the Union and wants to leave the European Union. So, yes, they recently won some shockingly large victories in Germany. I mean, guys, let's pass this one around the horn. I'll start with you, Jim. What's your kind of take on this is definitely a shift going on in Europe?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a strong nationalist sentiment across Europe. It's just that the EU and the legal structures that protect the bureaucracies have kept the conservative parties out of power. So they may win, but then they get this blizzard of, well, you're Nazis or you're this or you're that. We're not going to seat you. It happened in Austria. Just look at what they did to Hungary. I mean, they went after Orban with a passion. And, Hungary's a unique animal. The Magyars are unique. So the desire was to homogenize Europe. And it's not working, much like trying to homogenize the United States hasn't worked very well. The concept of individual, what is that, rugged individualism that Americans are talking about is real. It also exists in pockets in Europe, much of them in the East, right? So, I mean, they're doing great. They're pushing back on this centralized homogenization machine that is the EU. And the EU is panic-stricken now because they can't afford to defend the place. They don't know how to spend the money properly. So you've got to have people like Finland and Poland to step up, spend better than 5% of their GDP on defense, which they're doing. They can't do it forever. It's almost unsustainable. They've got to begin coordinating, but they're doing a good job. Been in the room with them. I like them a lot.
Let's see, Joe. I mean, we're going to be talking about this later in the show with the immigrants. And Jim brings it up here. He says the front runner of Macron's party to be the next presidential candidate has announced no more immigrant policy. Says we are full. I mean, so the current was it the chancellor of Germany has basically said we're going to send back a bunch of Syrian refugees. So we're going to be talking about this a little more in detail, but I mean, these are not right-wing parties that are doing this. I mean,
and actually, the current justice minister in France said the same thing. Like, hey, this is unsustainable, and our crime is skyrocketing. We have to do something. So, first of all, I want to point out that Ursula looks like she just asked to see the manager because we're and I think that if she lived in the U.S., her name would be Karen. But I want to point out something about her, though. This role that she's been in as leader of the EU has aged her, because Ursula von der Leyen, not long ago, was not a bad-looking woman, but look at her now, right? And I think that Germany's AfD is a symbol of everyone across Europe becoming fatigued, right?
Right.
Like, okay, at first it was neat. We're trying to help these people from the third world come up here and get a taste of our society. Then they realize these people want nothing to do with our society. They just want to loot, rape, and pillage it, and not in that order, as best they can.
Yeah.
And there it goes. So I really think that this move by the AfD, while unrealistic, they're never going to make that happen. There's legal agreements and a lot more to it than just leaving. I think that it's a symptom of a larger problem throughout Europe.
Yeah, before I go to you, Watcher, the one thing I'd like to say about that is that, in America, we have, like, DEI is a corruption of the better angels of American nature of individualism, right? This whole diversity thing. Because let's be honest, Americans don't believe in, homogeneous kind of, we believe in a homogeneous culture, not a homogeneous, racial structure, right? Whereas in Europe, it's not that way. When you push Europe's, they look around and they say, "I'm German, you're German." I can tell you over there, you are not German because I can see you. You can act German all you want, but you are not fucking German. Your ancestors aren't German, and you, my friend, are on the way out. That's where this could turn ugly. Very quickly, potentially. And I'll be honest with you, I have a hard time blaming those people, especially what you see they're going through right now.
Yeah, we have a great story coming up about the wokeness in Germany, but anyway.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, just a little small capsule on AF.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Watcher, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, you were indicating that you wanted to talk by your breathing.
Well.
I know you had something to say.
Yeah, just a warning, just a prudent warning as we talk about these European stories and as the European quote-unquote right wing starts to emerge forth. They're not your friends. They're not your friends, and they're not going to be your friends.
No.
They largely blame where they're at on you, just so you're aware. Us specifically, Americans, not even our government, all of us. They blame where they're at culturally on us.
Yeah,
they will continue to do so. And their furthest right-wing party is more socialistic than our Democrats.
That's correct. That is 100% true.
That's correct. Yeah.
I want to point something out, though. Since Jim is here and Ron is here, I have to stir the pot a little bit, because Hunch and I were present for a conversation with Mrs. Jim.
Oh no! Don't go here, Joe. Don't throw this gasoline on the fire. It's unnecessary. It is false. It is false and derogatory.
Yeah, it's fake news. I can hear the fake news coming, especially because Hunch is involved.
Just send Hunch or I a DM about whether or not you used to work with Jim. That's all.
He did not. I'll say it here. He did not.
Oh, that's a public. I trust Jim not to be coy.
I handled it best though. When your wife said everyone thinks you used to
There's
do
something about the altitude up here that gets people talking about romance. I just don't understand.
I won't even say what it was, but when your wife said everyone thinks that my husband used to do X, and I was like, that's because he did.
Guys like this have been the bane of my existence. Bane of my existence. No, I don't have the discipline. I don't have the discipline or good looks to do this job. Come on.
But even Jim, because she said, I think I would know. Yeah, but she didn't say I would definitely know.
All I'm saying is that at least they haven't tried to cast an ugly man as James Bond. All
I will say is that if the rumors were to be true, it would mean that he's one of the better ones. And we'll move on.
Improbable. Yeah.
Speaking of winning all the time.
Hold on. Before you
actually applies.
Before you move on, Hunch for $5 over in Rumble says, Jim, you shouldn't pick on and deny association with your former cubicle mate. I mean, you know.
I did sit in a cubicle. I did sit in a cubicle with Hunch once.
I'm going to tell her you called your patio a cubicle.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, real quick though, I just want to give you guys a heads up of as to where AFD is right now, right? So this is as of early 2026, they've had huge gains with record results in Western German states, strong national second place finishes, and leading or near leading positions in current polls. These represent some of the party's biggest advances since its foundation in 2013. There is a cultural sea shift going on. In Baden-Württemberg, they recently won 18% and almost 20% in Rhineland-Palatinate. Just you have to understand, this is like Trump getting 30% of the black vote in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it's huge. And so, we were talking earlier, I mentioned Austria. Austria has refused to seat what they call hard right, alt right,
right?
Far right. So this week, a conservative-led coalition will form a government in Austria, conservative-led, i.e. the conservatives are going to work with the left-wing parties to keep the conservative, true conservative, hard right, as they describe it, people out. And they call them Nazis. Nazi, 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 can't come in here. So the Austrians have refused to allow these people to do. So senior Austrian conservative quits after conviction for misuse of office. Social Democrats are from a different world. Austria's Wunderwuzzi, youngest leader at 31. So what you have is this struggle between the ultra-left and the ultra-right. The ultra-right is in ascendancy. They just literally refuse to let them participate even when they win elections. It's staggering. Right-wing populist FPO currently leads the polls. So where is the representation in government?
Yeah. So just to I want to highlight something here, Derna. All right. So Derna says, I guess the European right is also woke ideology. It's only we was Vikings and shit. Now, so it's different, right? You can't. It's like trying to compare an apple to a bunch of grapes, right? Not only do they not taste the same, they are not even the same form factor, right? Like Europeans, in some ways, are way more based than Americans, right? But in other ways, they are absolute fucking statists, Nazis, no offense, compared to Americans. I mean, it's just they come from a completely different paradigm than we do. The key thing is that international socialism has absolutely infected that continent since the invention of international socialism, which occurred in that fucking continent. It is a European product. It is of the European mindset. And that's the reason why most Europeans who came to America left, because they absolutely didn't fit in with that paradigm. There's a reason why the individuals from America identify as the most individualistic people in almost every facet of life of any other people in the world. I'm sorry, go ahead, Watch.
No, it's solid facts. Also, it's not we was Vikings for Europe. It was we was Romans. That's literally what this becomes every time.
So
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Romans are kind of cool, but so are Vikings.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry, Joe.
No, two things. One, Ron, way to throw a hand grenade in the chat by telling the crazed women in there that you were in the same room with them.
That is the text version of a female thirst trap for our female viewers there. So appreciate you, Ron.
The other side is I want to really give props to the horrible bot account exposed in 2026. Your dedication is amazing because I have killed you in the chat every day for like 3 weeks straight, and yet you keep coming back, sometimes twice in a day. So it takes dedication to make that many fake accounts just to drop spam links in our chat. Congratulations.
I like spam.
Speaking of spam, what does Pete smell like?
I love spam.
Oh yeah, it's weird. I just have to say. So I never had spam growing up, and we've been getting spam more often, and now my kid is literally addicted to it.
Hey, dude, fried spam is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Absolutely.
He craves fried spam. He like legitimately anytime it's like, oh, what do you want for a snack? Fried spam. Buddy, you cannot have fried spam every day for a week.
Hey,
Why not?
Watcher.
Hold on. We're not going to have that kind of negativity here, Watcher.
Watcher. Hey, let me open your mind. You're a culinary kind of ingenue, right? So you do fried rice, right?
Oh yeah. Spam fried rice would be good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Please put a bucket of cold water on the ladies in the chat, please.
I love it.
My goodness.
The bucket of cold water is called men talking about spam, Joe. That's what we're doing here. It's the only thing we can do.
Mention spam immediately. Start showing. I actually need to go get water pretty bad, but
Hey, P Booms, you got it right. Grilled spam and cheese. Man, that's good. Yes.
By the way,
Spam sushi, guys. Matsu.
yeah, that's what my wife's been making.
I want to take credit for this one, guys. Scott's apples to grapes comparison just sprained my brain.
Ironically, many of Scott's comparisons sprain my brain. He's a smarter guy than me. That's all.
No, I just come up with new lines of bullshit that nobody's ever heard of.
I mean, I didn't say it. You did. But
It's actually very descriptive. The
Know
language
thyself.
with which you describe it is very good.
Speaking of new lines of bullshit that no one's ever heard of.
Now, if only some of these job recruiters could figure this out. Jim, the one thing that I never mention in any of my job search stuff is any reference to this show.
you are muted for a reason. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Good call.
All right, I'm sorry, gents. Let's move on. We are, this is a good one, but a long one. All right, the next two we're gonna address the absolute fucking spanking beat down. Like, who got beat the worst, the GOP or Cornyn? I get the feeling it's a little bit of both. There's a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. GOP spent $100 million on John Cornyn just for him to lose to Ken Paxton by 30 points. 30 fucking points. This is chef kiss when it comes to rhino fucking run out. Americans are done with amnesty. Americans are done with visa abuse. Realize where we are. You know what Americans are also done with? The fucking John Thune and his whole idea of ignoring 85% of the voting populace who want the SAFE Act in its entirety. Not like the original like one line SAFE Act. No, the SAFE Act Plus with all the shit in it. That's what we want. So like I don't know if I'm sorry. I keep going on. Let me get you guys in on this before I continue.
Good riddance. I mean, that's
Well, no.
all.
What it shows is the facts are irrelevant to the power biases of the senior senators.
Yeah.
The power biases of the senior senators drive the decision making at the RNC in such a way that they can distort the need for their next 6 years to try to stay in power. And this is across the board of the photo of the people who cluster behind Speaker Thune or Leader Thune.
Yeah.
The damage that they've done to the conservative movement in the United States is palpable and dangerous. And this is the beginning of that failure and the handoff to a different class of conservative. And it's got the country apoplectic outside of the conservative movement because this was their fire break. This is how they maintained what they considered centrism in DC. And all it did was allow the cities and states on the coasts to drift into this blue morass of Marxism that we're dealing with now. It's no longer tolerable. And Texas is not going to go blue. And Paxton is a better.
If anything, it's going redder than it was what, 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, it isn't redder. It's just conservative, right?
Yeah.
And this is where these meatheads in Washington lose their way. They think they can speak to these groups in a monolithic way. What works is grassroots engagement. Go down and talk to Texans about what they want. Understand the Hispanic community is probably a hell of a lot closer to you than the meatheads running Austin and Dallas and Harris County, right? Go talk to them. And that's why when you get the grassroots experts on the ground in Texas, they're like, we're going to win this thing. And everybody in Washington is up there dithering. They're dithering because they want status quo. Cornyn is the perfect status quo guy. Thune is a status quo guy. We can't have this status quo anymore. We absolutely have to replace them with younger, more aggressive people. And Paxton ain't so young, but I mean, he's a hell of a lot younger than Cornyn. And he's a hell of a lot younger than the other 6 or 7 guys who purport to run the conservative movement. Boy, did I just go? I'm sorry, I'm on a rampage.
No, you're saying
interestingly, Cornyn only barely took Austin, which is surprising to me. And that actually gives me some hope for a change to Austin's politics.
Yeah, they know something's wrong. Texans know something's wrong. And they're watching people flood in from California and flood in from other states, and they don't want the state to change into the Central Valley of California, where you've got miles of suburban wasteland between cities run by crazy liberals. And right now, the cities are run by crazy liberals, and they happen to be blessed with a lot of territory, but it's filling up fast, man. You get up to Dallas, and you go out 30 miles, you've got subdivisions. So it's something that needs to be watched, and you've got to support the conservative movement in Texas, and you have to integrate the Hispanic community into the messaging.
Yeah. Well,
as Wade points out, hold on. As Wade points out, though, Indians have been flowing into Texas and are actually winning offices and winning seats. And that's something they do in every community. That's how you end up with Sri Thandahar, who I can't even believe is a real person in the U.S. House of Representatives. So,
well, it's like this gal who's running for mayor in L.A., right? Like she's one of these radical leftist Indians. Now, let's be honest. There are Republican Indians as well. And while I can get on board with some of the things that they advocate for, if you don't get on board for American culture, I don't got any fucking time for it, even if we're a 90% match. There is certain parts of American culture that you have to be lock, stock, and barrel on, and you have to denounce your previous culture for me to be.
Yeah, while the Indians might be Republican, they're not exactly conservative. They're more nationalist. And they will always be Indian nationalists.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, right? Any culture that does not go from anybody can become an American, right? Well, if you do not become an American, right? If you don't consider yourself American, then you never will be an American. If you always consider yourself Indian, if you always consider yourself Muslim, if you always consider yourself Chinese, these are the 3 big places that you see this the most. You will never truly be able to be an American, and in point of fact, you should never be an American. And I think one of the things for naturalization should be a profession of America as a statement that you have to swear on. Okay, yeah, will they lie? Sure, they'll lie, but at least you have to make them lie in order to kind of take, and you have to also make it illegal for a naturalized citizen to maintain citizenship within another country.
So you guys saying that I can't keep my Irgun membership?
No, you're natural born.
Oh man, you're anti-Semitic. I tell you, you should go after the Irish too. Remember them? Well, they used to raise money in New York and Boston. Come on.
Well, they still do, I think.
Some people, interestingly, have been pointing out that when the Irish came, they were pulling some of the same stuff that we're seeing the Somalis pull now.
Yeah.
Not on the same level, but I know what you mean, man.
Yeah, right. But here's the thing, right? When an Irish has fundamentally more in common with anybody else in Europe than anybody in Europe has with a Somali.
Well, I'll actually take this a different way, and this is like for those people who are like, oh, pro integration, right? Like, the Irish are now thoroughly integrated into American culture, and what it took for that to happen was the breaking down of the Irish culture that they were doing in the first place, because they were allowed to ghettoize and form their own little communes.
Well,
and
no,
the way that ended is when that ended, and they became Americans instead of Irish.
I just
Yeah,
want to
when they
point out-
left New York, right?
No,
They were
I'll
able-
tell you when it ended is when Whitey Bulger had to leave Boston. That's that's not so
To
long
Watcher's
ago.
point, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
To Watcher's point, in Canton Township, Michigan, when I moved there, the biggest celebration of the year was the 4th of July. It is now Diwali, and the 4th of July is an afterthought, and that is a problem.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hunch says the Irish are responsible for a lot of the dying and making up this country. That's correct, Hunch. I'm with you on that one. They did serve. They did die. Lots of them.
I would challenge there were probably more Irish slaves in America than there were black. But
No, the indentured class.
Yeah,
It was big.
100%. G-Man for $4.99. You said you were 20 minutes behind, so I waited a couple minutes before I read your thing. You guys have to make a State Department comedic book now behind 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean there's some comedy with the State Department.
I have to say the State Department's looking a hell of a lot better, but it is a comic book on its own. It really has been.
Yeah, the State Department still needs a lot of reform, but the leadership of Marco Rubio has been doing great things for the image of the State Department, that's for sure. Mega Mob Ass for $4.99 says, obligatory Brandon Herrera for Congress. He's a war hero, Yeah, he's a war hero of the internet wars. Unfortunately, as much as I love Brandon Herrera, and he does a good job of dispelling this, he was never served. He hangs around and respects a lot of guys who serves. And we respect him too for making the AK-50. That service alone has got him in my gun shop Mount Rushmore for all times. So yes, I love me some Brandon Herrera. There's Joe. There are a lot of I would rather have a Brandon Herrera than some of these guys that some of these vets that we've had. Eye Patch McCain comes to mind. There's some
if
others.
I could get a haircut, I'd be much happier. But
Well, he's I'll take a gun building hippie over a fucking Navy SEAL. Let's be honest. I am done with Navy SEALs. Let's just be honest.
Cut your damn hair, hippie.
I'm sure there's some good uns out there, but
taking fish out of our
you know what's funny is went through a military career where you met very few SEALs, despite even being on the same ship with them for a pretty good chunk of the time. Yet almost everyone on Twitter is a former Navy SEAL. Crazy.
Isn't that weird?
I suspect some of them aren't exactly telling the truth. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, the Rhino. Oh, yeah, Squeeze Turner, you got a good point here. The Rhino that Herrera primary had to go. Yeah. The fact that he didn't beat him the first time he ran against him, it was a fucking travesty. But let's be honest. We're in so much better hands than with him. Texas has got a shit ton of fucking rhinos, is what I've learned about Texas politics in the last several years. All right. We got another one here about the Texas race here. This is, I think this is funny.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico. Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico. And others refer to him simply as Low T Tallarico. But no matter what you call him, let me tell you this. James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country. He's a threat to our security and our safety. He wants open borders and even said a welcome mat should be at our southern border. He's a threat to our children. He wants boys and girls sports, gender mutilation surgery performed on kids. And when asked what he loved outside of his family and friends, you heard what Brandon Gill said. His first answer was trans kids. That's weird, and that's a radical guy. He's a threat to our prosperity and Texas economy. He said you can't be a Christian if you support the oil and gas industries. He wants to raise your taxes, and he won't do a single thing to lower costs for you and your family. And finally, he's a threat to our very way of life and our values. I mean, he's a vegan who thinks God is non-binary and that there's actually 6 biological sexes. It's hard to imagine someone more radical than that. No matter what he says or how much he raises, the reality is that James Tallarico is going to be nothing more than a Texas-based puppet for Chuck Schumer and the National Democrats.
Okay, he needs to work on his delivery because that was the single most boring speech that said good stuff that I've ever.
Great writing, poor delivery. Kid Paxton, I love it. You're gonna win, but man,
you can work on your delivery, bro.
Yeah.
Tellerico doesn't get to tell me if I'm a Christian or not. I don't know if he knows that. But.
You know, what's the term for that, Joe? When you got guys who purport to be Christian who work right at the edge of reality, there's a term for that.
I think Dove MAGA has it right here. More antichrist than.
Here's the truth. Tellerico claims to be a Christian, and in fact, I believe claims to be a pastor somewhere. Yet he believes that there are more than 2 genders. You don't have to go any further than Genesis 1, the first chapter in the first book of the Bible, where it says God created them man and woman. There was not any other option, just 2.
What's the false message?
Yep. I mean, probably this version of leftism is very similar to the demon that appeared to Muhammad in the cave. It lies to you. All right. Before we go to tactical-wisdom.com, let's look over at Rumble. All right. Let me refresh Rumble. Joe, did you write a poem today?
Yes, it's not very good, but I did write one.
All right, fair enough. 95 folks watching. I just noticed we're over 300 on live viewers, so usually we do pretty well like that when you share. So I appreciated that. 95 viewers live on Rumble and 37 likes. Now what I'm going to say is that I know Rumble's harder to like. So if you could jump over. Find wherever it is on Rumble that you're listening to and hit that like button. Or if you're on YouTube and you want to help boost the Rumble likes, I would appreciate if you do that. Now, before we look at if we're successful there, let's go back to YouTube and see if we improved any. Yeah. Guys, look, check it out. YouTube right now, we're sitting at 94 watts. We doubled our likes.
Well, your audio broke up again.
Well, I said we doubled the likes just for asking.
Good deal.
Yeah. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate you guys. For helping us out there. All right. Let's get back on track. Joe, talk to a little bit about tactical-wisdom.com.
All right, I've been a little lack in getting out articles because of all the situation with Alan and things like that going on, and us trying to get things moving here. So we will get back on it. We got to pick up the pieces and get going. So we have a lot of training classes coming up in the next couple of weeks. Kay from Combat Studies Group will be out here, and he will be teaching patrolling concepts, which is going to be a great class. But before that, I'm going to have Fieldcraft. And after that, we're going to have community security ops. So we got a lot of things going on here. Good stuff. We got some more pistol classes coming up. But around our July event, there's going to be a lot of classes on a lot of things. I'm going to kick it off with combatives. Got a couple folks registered for that one. 3 days of intense self-defense training. That is a lot of fun. And then I'm going to go into a 3-day protective service concepts course to help some people learn a a thing or two about protecting people in public, going to become more and more important in the months ahead. And I want to really talk about community security ops, because there's another one down here, July 20th to 22nd. That's between the War Lizard Tactical Class and Mountain Readiness. I don't know how many of you saw it, but there was a news story last night about Seattle residents setting up their own roadblocks and checkpoints to try and counter violent crime because the police department is no longer responding. Boy, that is my community security ops class right there. That's what it's for, to teach you how to do it more effectively and how to build your barricades so the guys don't drive around them, just like the ones in the video. So check that out. War Lizard Tactical will be here with defensive pistol on the 18th and 19th. I'm going to run a one-day defensive pistol on July 27th, the day after Mountain Readiness. But get your tickets and camping reservations made for Mountain Readiness, July 24th through the 26th, right here at Camp Ponderosa. And I had this question come up a couple of times for people. Can I just come and camp Ponderosa even when there's nothing going on? Absolutely, 100%. Watch her pull up that photo that I dropped in the group chat a while ago of the two young men and I. I had some gentlemen stop by last night, and I had seen them down at the local store down the road a couple hours earlier. And these are two young men from Italy. The one there with the longer hair is Andrea, and the one in the front is Omar. They're actually from a town just by my family's hometown in northern Italy. And they are bicycling from Sao Paulo, Brazil, all the way to Alaska. It has taken them 2.5 years so far, and they are continuing on their trek. So, yes, you can just come and camp and hang out. Me and these guys hung out on the porch last night for a little bit. It's pretty cool. In the middle of a thunderstorm, they were bicycling up there. But anyone can come and hang out and do what they need to do. It's a great time. So check us out. Come hang out. And camping here is pretty cheap. It's actually just getting here is kind of a pain, but you're in some of the most beautiful country in the U.S. when you come here. So,
Joe, I thought you'd appreciate this comment here from random PNW guy.
Yeah, they sent a guy to a class before, and our training group sent a guy to objective service class and other ones. Yeah, send a guy, train the trainer. Matt and I maintain that our classes are always that way. If you've got a big group of 15 guys, sure, we'd love to train you all. But send 3 or 4 guys. We'll get them trained up, and then they can go back and train you 100%. Just don't start monetizing that.
Yeah. So the thing that I would maybe suggest is if you have a group of 15 guys, I bet for cheaper than all 15 of you guys go into Montana, you could probably contact Joe, and he would come to you to do that class. So if you think about it as buying a trainer for a group, that would be another way to save money if you've got a lot of guys.
By the way, later today, I'm going to make a Twitter account just for the camp to help promote what we do here. So I'll share that out in the CFC fan chat. Everyone get on and like it. I'd like it to get some followers, so you can see all the other stuff we have coming out here. So,
and we'll make sure that once that's up, we blast it out on the show pretty much every time you do Tactical Wisdom kind of updates.
Yep.
At least for the near future. Big Sky ain't no lie. Yeah, that's right. All right. Squishy Hunter is disparaging the Italians.
No, he was complimenting the Italians. He was disparaging the Greeks.
It depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah.
All right. In the midst of spreading conflicts across the Middle East, North Africa region, and the alarming rise of communist organizations and foreign money flowing into the United States, including dark money networks like those tied to Roy Neville Singham, or Neville Roy Singham, the threats to American stability are growing both abroad and at home. When chaos erupts and normal communications fails, you need gear and training that you can trust. Brushbeater Store has you covered with 2 battle-proven options. The AR-152 Pro, a rugged, high-performance handheld radio built like a tank, 10-watt tri-power output, massive 12,000 milliamp battery, built-in GPS and APRS tracking. Expanded frequency coverage, including airband and multiple antennas for superior range when self-service does. Back it up with the RTO course, hands-on, no bullshit training that teaches you how to build an SOI, manage frequencies under pressure, and run secure group comms in high-threat environments. Get the AR-152 Pro at brushbeater.store/product/AR-152-Pro. Enroll in the RTO course at brushbeater.store/collection/training. Use code CFC10 for 5% off all radios, accessories, and courses. Orders over $100, $150 shipped for free. Big thanks to Matt at Brush Reader Store for powering the Council on Future Conflict as the Middle East, North Africa conflicts escalate. Communist money and organizations continue to destabilize the U.S. from within. Head to brushbeater.store and enter code CFC10 and build the connected, capable security presence your community needs. Now, back to the program. Boy, I tell you, there's a lot of new. Every time I look at Brush Reader, there's new shit available. I need to get a hold of Matt and see if there's other stuff he wants me to push that they're selling.
No, he showed me his bear rifle build, 458
yeah.
SOCOM. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a beast of a. I would not want to get hit by one of those.
Hey, also, everyone, be watching for a podcast by Matt and I in the next day or so. All about Alan Erickson. So
that's cool.
And there are some questions in the chat about the Discord link and the CFC fan chat. So if someone could,
if
link
you guys could,
that would be great.
By the way, I was looking. I don't have if you could put the Discord link in, if you're a mod, if you could put the Discord link in the chat. I just recently, for completely different reasons, re-downloaded Discord because I haven't had it for years. So if you can give me that link, I would appreciate it, or send me an invitation on Discord, something along those lines, so that I can get in there. I would appreciate it. I won't spend too much time in there because I do not do Discord, but I'm trying, guys. I'm an old man. I'm all cranky and I don't do well with all this shit sometimes. So you got to bear with me. It's in the community tab on X. Okay, let me look over there. By the way, I looked in the community tab recently. I thought that you guys are keeping it going. It's very nice to see the memes getting dropped. Rick Dukemal, you're doing the Lord's work, dropping those memes over there. I'm looking for. If somebody could drop it in the do a new post into the community tab over on X, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Or maybe share it on the in the fan chat, and then I can drop it over there. All right, I don't see anything. Well, we'll come back to that. All right, gentlemen. Mina Malaise. We're going to start off with Hamas.
Dead guy.
Israel doing Iran things, or maybe they were doing Hamas things on Iran. I don't, it's how depends on how you want to take this.
The best way to present that picture is, have you seen this guy? I bet you won't anymore.
Yeah, the Israeli Air Force has bombed the hideout of Mohammed Odeh in Gaza, the new commander of Hamas and successor to Izz al-Din Hadid, who was eliminated last week. So this guy had a week on the throne. Odeh was the last surviving commander of those who planned October 7th. This is once again with the fear of overusing the meme. Another chef kiss, in the face of these absolute murderous, psychopaths at Hamas. Gentlemen?
You know how they have those counters at work? We've gone X number of days without a safety incident, or my bear counter, we've gone 7 days without a bear sighting.
Yeah.
Hamas is like, we've gone 11 days without or we've got 0 days without a leadership change. Our previous record was 11 days.
Oh, previous. Yes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh my God. All right. That's funny. I'm sorry. Let me ask you a question, Jim. I mean, with Israel, this whole like back and forth, what's happening in Washington dealing with Iran. Iran continues to say that Hezbollah, the war in Lebanon, Hezbollah, and Gaza have to be linked to this. There's no fucking way that even if we tell Israel to stop their shit, there's no fucking way they're going to listen.
Well, no, but you have to have the kabuki of pretending you give a shit. But at the end of the day, Hezbollah has killed a lot of Americans. I don't think there's a lot of motivation in DC to protect Hezbollah. You need the Lebanese, what's left of Lebanon, to step up and actually take sovereign control over the country, and they've refused to do it because Hezbollah has so infiltrated the Lebanese political scene that everybody's either afraid of them or compromised by them. They control a bunch of the infrastructure. They control the emergency services. They control the hospitals. They had all the money flow from the Chinese and the Iranians. So they were the money bag, and they grew and grew and grew in an unchecked way. And now they're embedded. I mean, look at these tunnel networks. They keep going and going and going. Southern Lebanon is just like Gaza. It is a militarized state whose sole function was the destruction of the state of Israel. Yeah. They're unwrapping it. It's real simple. And it's not just up to the Litani. It's above the river as well, right? So Hezbollah had unlimited budget from the Iranians for a long time. The infrastructure goes all the way up into, guess what? Beirut. Goes all the way up into the Bekaa. We know this. They're gonna stay in there until they kill it all this time. They made the mistake in Gaza. They were left holding a bag. They lost a lot of people. And the sad thing for Israel is they lost the most liberal folks, right? Along the border with Gaza was a bunch of very, very liberal kibbutzim. A good friend of mine lost 7 members of his family in this attack. It's not easily forgotten. And this guy's a complete pacifist, right? I mean, he's a war hero, but he's a pacifist now. He doesn't like war. And they came after his people. It's awful. And it's not going to go easily for Hezbollah, hasn't gone easily for Hamas, and it's clearly not going well for Quds Force or IRGC.
Yeah, they've basically drawn a line in the sand, and they're not allowing any of these bad actors to continue forward. And I agree with you. Just because they have to act like they give a shit in order to get anywhere. And so I think you're spot on. Joe Watcher, any thoughts? Moving on.
First they came for Hezbollah, and I said, make sure you get all those fuckers.
Yeah, same. Good riddance to bad trash.
You gotta love the Marines and the Hez.
Yeah.
I one thing to put in context what's been going on is that group of leftist morons who tried to get to Gaza in this last cycle, making all the accusations about the Israelis. Oh, the Israelis beat us and tortured us and treated us badly and raped the women. And they get off the plane in Spain, and it's, the cops are like, okay, get out of the way. No, they start pushing. Out come the batons, man. Full video of Spanish police in Bilbao batoning these morons for fighting back. It's the morons. It isn't the police. It isn't the Israelis. It's the terrorists. The Israelis have become difficult because they've been fighting terror their whole existence. It's the terrorists, people. And so, again, this anti-Israeli stuff that bubbles up, don't go there. It's just not worth it. It's unnecessary. Keep an eye on them. They will do what's in their national interest, and sometimes it bumps up against us. But Israel is not the problem.
You don't have to love Israel, but you can't deny them their vengeance, right? I mean,
They're also a democracy. They chose to be who they are, and they're the only democracy in the region. So you got to give them a little bit of credit for surviving.
All right. Let me move on to topic change. Moving from Hamas getting domed in Gaza to Syrian refugees in Germany. Germany announced its plans to send home 900,000 Syrian refugees back. So this makes total sense to me. Syria rejected the plan, said that they should stay in Germany. Okay. They've been in Germany a couple of years, so they're Germans now, I guess. Syria wants them to keep collecting German welfare. That's exactly right. And guess where they're sending it back to? Bum, 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 bum. They're sending it back to Syria. Syria wants the fucking money. A portion of which is sent back to Syrian families. Germany is subsidizing the Syrian economy. Yes, this is exactly right. This is one of the reasons why Mexico was so adamant that we don't persecute Mexicans who honestly come to work as seasonal employees in
because
America.
most of that money goes back to Mexico.
Back to Mexico. And guess what? It's also going back to fucking India, too. If you didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And Syria calls migrants in Germany a strategic asset. What an odd thing to say when you are literally not just the leader of Syria, but the leader of Al-Qaeda.
By the way, yes, that guy is picking his nose. He also smells his own farts. So that shouldn't surprise you.
That's what's his name? The chancellor, right?
Yeah, that's the chancellor. All right, let me go on to let's go to the next story on this because I think it. So Joe, this is one you shared with me. I thought this is great.
That's not the story.
You've gone to section 2. You skipped the rest of highlighting right now here, the one I'm on in the notes. There you go. All right, Joe, you shared this with me. It's a narrative. It's a story. So just let me tell the story here. I am responsible for the welfare benefits at my municipality. And what shocks me is the amazing work ethic of the immigrants, these are the Syrian immigrants. 70% of the immigrants in my municipality are on welfare. Almost all of them are disabled with 7 kids on average. Sounds very Muslim of them. Many of them are also disabled. This qualifies them for around $4,900 monthly in benefits. Only around 8% of ethnic Germans are on benefits, and they only get around 700 euros because they are typically not disabled and have around 1 kid. Yet, when I walk around my municipality, I see these poor disabled immigrants helping out their community. One man, officially registered as a paraplegic, was carrying heavy boxes up 3 flights of stairs at his cousin's restaurant. Another, certified as completely blind by his cousin, who is an ophthalmologist and an amputee, was doing a detailed paint job on his brother's 2 Lamborghinis. A man who is also disabled with 12 kids. Another man with a severe intellectual disability was weighing small bags of white powder on a digital scale and selling them to local teenagers, patiently explaining the difference between qualities and prices. Every day, these disabled immigrants push through their pain and help their community integrate into German life. They do this without compensation, as they report no income from their activities. And where are the ethnic Germans, I ask you? These disgusting bastards are nowhere to be seen, probably at home watching television. Have a wonderful day. Signed, Wolfgang.
Yeah. What's funny is it does illustrate the exact problem, right? And this problem is not Germany specific. This is the U.S. This is the United Kingdom. This is France. These people have learned that our magnanimous nature and our willingness to help is something to be exploited and taken advantage of.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about this guy. And I saw another one of his posts. Let me read this one too, because this is great. I almost committed a thought crime on my way to work today. Waited on the bus while immigrants jumped the queue and got ahead of me. This bus got full and I smiled and waited for the next one. As I scanned my metro ticket, a Syrian man got behind me and pushed forward to avoid paying. I fell to the ground and he walked over me. Entered the metro where the immigrants were blasting loud music and harassing an older lady. I stared at the floor, pretended to be blind and deaf. Exited the train, and a Somali man aggressively asked me for money. I didn't want to give him any, but I felt threatened, so I smiled and handed him 50 euros. Briefly thought maybe we made a mistake with this immigration policy. Identified this as a prohibited thought. Reminded myself that I prefer Europe to look like Afghanistan before admitting we made a mistake. And this is where he leaves it off. I mean, he's obviously being a sarcastic motherfucker, which is great for a German. But this is not outside the experience of people what these fucking suicidal, empathetic liberals in Germany are doing every day.
You know, what's funny is when things start coming out in satire, it's because it is the actual popular opinion of the majority of people. They're just afraid to say it, so we have to couch it in satire as if it's all a joke. And I'm actually surprised, though, in Germany, he has not been arrested at this point.
Yeah, well, if he were in England, he would have been arrested.
He's probably posting from South Asia. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised. Hunt's Dirty Roofer for $2 says it's almost like social welfare entitlements will be the death of us, of the free market economies worldwide. Yeah. It's because you can't run a socialist society in a free market. Now, you can do a robust social safety net, but so here's the interesting thing. Like, if you say, oh, well, the Nordic countries are socialist and they're very successful, they get really pissy about that. And it's not because they're socialists and they don't want to be called socialists. It's because they've kind of figured it out. When you're all white, you all share the same culture, you can be very generous with taxpayers' money because you all agree on the same things, because you're all from the same culture. This is the beauty of a homogenous society, right? And thus it becomes a culturally accepted social safety net that the government provides. Do I want to be part of that? Fuck no. That being said, I appreciate where they're coming from, but that's not socialism.
But they have also learned the error of their ways and the fact that they have been taken over by people who took advantage of that.
Exactly. So the irony is that this whole fucking system shows its absolute, ludicrous nature when you try to introduce anybody of a different culture into it.
So the thing about this that really caught me over the last 5 to 10 years has been the inducement created for the non-governmental organizations to make millions and millions and millions of dollars feeding off the industry of bringing third world migrants to the United States and Europe. So the USAID scam was, we'll subsidize this program. And they multiplied that across most of Africa, most of the Middle East, and much of Asia, and said, go find the people you can pull into these systems and we'll help you monetize them in the United States. Catholic Charities in Central America is a good example.
Yeah.
Hundreds of millions of dollars was fed to these NGOs and their managers and their consultants, right? So this is the class of people who live around the District of Columbia in Maryland and in Virginia and have the beautiful homes. They're scraping 20% off every dollar that went in through those channels. All right. And they're lobbying in DC to continue that business. This became an industry, and the industry targeted certain municipalities. Look at Minnesota, look at LA, look at Chicago, look at New York, look at Dayton, look at the cities that have these monolithic populations of either Haitians, Somalis. It all has to do with timing. Where is there a problem we can feed off, and where do we put them? San Diego ended up with Chaldean Iraqis, right? Christian Iraqis ended up in the East County of San Diego. They're still there. Each of these groups comes in and exhibits different adaptability. The Chaldeans did a decent job. In looking at Chicago, not so good. Looking at Minnesota, we know where that went. We looked at the Ohio clusters of crime, unbelievably monolithic criminal activity by immigrant groups. LA is turning out to be the same thing. The Armenian and Russian mob run these organizations, but they use the various minority groups. This became a monetizable asset for the NGO management class in DC. And they've just maximized it. And they've maximized the kickback to the liberal fringe of our government. That's why you've got so much of a swing to the left. That was financed by this movement.
Yeah, one of the great things I think that the reveal of how absolutely depraved the actions of Catholic Charities has been is to shine a light on the original Marxist infiltration of conservative organizations, which was known as liberation theology. That was Marxist attempt in Central and South America to convince the vast majority of the population that are Catholic that Marxism and Catholicism were inherently compatible, and it was a bastardization of the Word of God, and it was, let's be honest, run by a bunch of communist fucking Catholic priests, and they were.
Bastardization is an overly generous term.
Well, I mean, you could argue that Catholicism is a bastardization of the Word of God, and this was a bastardization of that original bastardization. That being said, I appreciate some aspects of Catholicism, even though I am not one. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's move on. So we move from Islamic terrorist. You've gone straight to New Jersey again. Watcher, I'm highlighting.
Very similar to Iraq. It is New Jersey.
I'm highlighting the things that you clearly probably didn't download for some reason, because I didn't add them late. They were added before the show started. All right, here we go. Next one up is not that one either. Right here, Watcher.
That is Iraq.
No, this is Iran. The next one is North Africa, is Sahel. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, here we go. Yeah, I was adding links at the last minute, so Watcher rightly probably just missed them. That's no big deal. Islamic terrorist conquest of West Africa. This is like one of those meta stories. A lot of times we'll talk about Burkina Faso, or we'll talk about Sahel, what Sahel is going on in Africa, or we'll talk about Ivory Coast, a lot of Nigeria with the being targeted by various groups in northern Nigeria. But this is kind of the broader, like, what the fuck is going on in Africa. Islamic terrorist conquest of Africa, the widened scope and quickened pace of the Islamic State's military operations in the Sahel region, just below North Africa, roughly from Senegal to Sudan, threatens to alter the strategic orientation of the African continent. Efforts at countering terrorist organizations' operations in the Sahel, such as they were, have evidently failed, as all roads to Mali's capital, Bamako, are now blocked. The country might be the first state to go under. On April 25th, during a coordinated attack on several Malian cities, Muslim terrorists killed the country's minister of defense. Yeah, we remember we talked about this a while back. The military juntas ruling Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have proven themselves ineffectual at combating Islamic terrorist operations as the democracies that they overthrew. The increasing terrorist assaults across Sahel and the jihadists' determined efforts to take Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have eroded the sovereignties of these states. The combat successes of jihadists in the Sahel in March 2022 precipitated their elevation to the status of the Islamic State Sahel provinces within the hierarchy of IS. And several other factors have facilitated the growth of the jihadist advance in Sahel. Guys, let me get your kind of general take on this, because this is less about the places that they're fighting, i.e. the countries, and more about the threat and how it's, addressing the entire continent of Africa. Joe, I know you've kind of studied this quite a bit. What's your kind of take on this?
Well, first of all, I'm no expert, but it looks like that helicopter up there has missed some scheduled maintenance.
Yeah, I'd say that's a deadline. That's a deadline bird right there.
Yeah, I would say. Here's the thing: the Marxist groups that took over these governments are all based in the south of their countries, and in the desert, Islamic extremism is continuing to travel southward. It began in places like Libya and Egypt and worked its way south across and Sudan, and worked its way south. Sudan is kind of a central place where all of this flows from, because both sides there have Islamic extremists on their side, right? Both the RDF and the government forces. And it's continuing to work its way south, pushing its way into further into Southern Africa. They've got a bigger support network than these tiny West African countries have, which is one of the reasons why Ibrahim Traore has been the most effective one, because he is trying to build a coalition of those nations to fight back against this. If they don't and they continue to operate independently, they will fall. ECOWAS is a thing that began a long time ago for this very reason, but it's been highly ineffectual, and it continues to be ineffectual. I got my obligatory Ibrahim Traore plug-in. So
well, and this is one of those kind of things where the downside of a lot of these, instead of it being one big world war, it's a lot of little small kind of bush wars, right? Is the fact that it makes it really hard to kind of spin a narrative. If you want to show the biggest parallel to the pre-World War II era, in my eyes, it's the threat of global Islam. It's not like just one group, right? It's ISIS over here. It's the various other IS groups that are around, all the way down to Mozambique, all the way over to like Ivory Coast and Mali. So they're all over the continent of Africa. You've got ISIS in Central Asia, with Khorasan in Afghanistan. You've got all the other fucktard groups in Afghanistan, Pakistan, part of India. You've got Iran. So this is a big problem with Islam, right? You've got some. Let's be honest. I think they are Muslim in name only states like the GCCs, because they worship money more so than they worship like any religious structure. And they're the ones that are the only counterbalance. And the only reason they have a real counterbalance is because they own fucking the Kaaba in Mecca, right? That's literally their own. So I don't know, Joe, you were getting ready to say something.
The other thing on this, I think Jim will agree with me on it, is that these guys who threw these coups did so because they wanted Chinese money. And the only way to get it was to overthrow those governments and enable China to have these great contracts. So they're not that motivated to actually put down the Islamic rebellions in the north.
Yeah.
Iran, China, Russia, and the problem in North Africa, excluding Morocco and Tunisia, is that everybody is involved in this Maghreb Sahel vacuum that the French left us. And having the French pull out of there was ill-advised from a stability standpoint. Problem is, each of these countries has 4 or 5 things that are worth a shit, right? They've got a certain number of minerals, a couple of mines. The Chinese have come in and are very into the gold production. U.S. is much more interested in metals other than gold, though gold subsidizes a lot of mining because you find gold concurrently with other stuff that you're looking for. So we're back in looking at North Africa and Central Africa because of the mining that has been done there, most of it funded by China. And at some point, we're going to have to make some rational structure there. The U.S. has interest, but ultimately Morocco and Egypt and Tunisia need to get control of the forces that are racing around in North Africa, financed by the Iranians and the Chinese. And there's a lot of tribal overlay where there's long historical animus between all these different groups. And you've got the Spanish involved with the Moroccans, and there's a territorial thing with Spanish Sahara that was supposedly resolved this year. But these animosities are long term, so it makes it hard to work there. But ultimately, if you get control of the 5 or 6 assets in each country that are critical, and you support whoever's running the place decently, you're good. You can't use African forces to enforce in Africa; it just never works. And you're looking, just look at what's going on now vis-a-vis the epidemic that's broken out in Congo. Africa has never had to self-manage. And if you pull the layer of nonprofit kind of payoffs out of those markets, they collapse. Whether it's healthcare or national security, they're unsustainable, which is very sad because I know a lot of people who've trained people in Africa for decades, and it's come to naught.
Yeah. What do you think because so you're right. There's all these countries have some reason for us in the West to be interested in them, and it's not their culture. Oftentimes it's the things inside the land that they sit on top of. What do you think this kind of cancerous rise of Islam in Africa is ultimately going to impact us? Some of this can be. Some of the shit that they've got can be found in other places.
So it isn't cancerous Islam. It's disenfranchised sects of Islam and tribes being financed for an outcome. The toxic piece is the arrival of money and new pickup trucks with dishkas, right? That's kind of so. The new pickup trucks and dishkas arrive on ships. Somebody's paying for them. Historically, it's been the Chinese. It's been the Iranian groups, the Quds Force. But you look at somewhere like Sudan that Joe was talking about earlier. The UAE has a game in Sudan, right?
Yes.
So it's not just fringe operators. People are operating in these places, and they're toying with this militarism and these alternative parties, because there's some commercial gain. Somebody wants something. And they go in and they pitch it to their leader in the Gulf and say, hey, there's purpose for us to be there. It may be fighting a Chinese influence. It may be fighting a sect of Islam they find unpalatable. I know the Sunni and when I talk to the Sunni guys from North Africa and the what's the other big group in Morocco? I always forget their name. The Sufis. So you've got a lot of Sufis, and these people are very well educated. They're very traveled. They're very urbane, European, multilingual. They really don't like the Iranian influence in North Africa. But again, the Iranian influence in North Africa has been heavily curtailed. Where it coexisted with the Chinese, I think the Chinese are still trying to keep things alive. But the locals are pushing back. People understand why they should affiliate with the United States. We are a more benevolent partner, believe it or not. And I think most people in Africa know that. Taking USAID away has really pissed a lot of the power structure off, but that's okay because most of them were horribly corrupt.
Yeah, that was shit that was not like really helping regular Africans anyway. So it's not like, the African on the street didn't notice anything when that stuff went missing.
And we totally lost the bubble. It wasn't just about helping Africans. It was about U.S. policy and U.S. national interest in helping Africans. And when that was disconnected, when the U.S. national interest piece was disconnected from we're helping, you got off into this craziness that created what we have in Africa now. It was fully reliant on aid, and nobody had any incentive to disconnect the umbilicus, right? So it just, they became addicted to this. The system was built around this, and massive short-termism occurred, which is when the government's in control, people rape and pillage the country. And then 6 to 12 months later, there's a coup, and there's a new guy who wants to monetize what they took over, right? But that doesn't work, right? You can't afford to build a sustainable mining operation in a country you only control for 6 to 12 months at a time. That is no viable thing. Can't build roads, can't build rail, can't build ports. You have to have responsible counterparties. North Central Africa has never been responsible. Uganda is the closest thing to a responsible place in North Central Africa. That's why I hate going there. I had no interest in it whatsoever. It's like there are other people who go do that part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of like India in a lot of ways. At the highest level, they're very kind of educated and very kind of, you know, practical people. But as soon as you scrape the surface, it's a fucking country that nobody wants to even go to, much less spend time in.
Except they may have a mine that produces some very important mineral. And if you can draw a straight line from the mine location to the port facility to take it out, and you can secure that pathway, great. Right?
Great. Exactly right.
Great.
You know? All right. Joe's dropping some links to Camp Ponderosa for donations. So if you're check those out, make sure if you have the ability, you guys have been super generous with your gifts to the camp. So yeah, if you haven't given, consider that as a charitable interaction that you may have. All right, let's move on. All right, Iran is the last bit or last stop in the MENA malaise. Let's watch your. This is like a 3.5 minute video. Let's play about the first minute, and I think we should get most of what we want out of this. God love Tusi, but he can kind of run on at the mouth a bit.
A report that has now been confirmed from central Tehran. Violent clashes happening once again amongst the Islamic Republic members and supporters, this time between the IRGC and the Iraqi militia, who have taken to the central parts of the capital, especially around the Revolution Square. Essentially, what we've had is the confrontations escalating, which is a really weird situation. A lot of them are now clashing with the Iraqis, who are supposed to be there to help the Islamic Republic. But the Revolution Square, we had the Iranian security forces, who have been obviously they've been experiencing a lot of tensions between the Iraq-based PMU. These are the Popular Mobilization Units, the proxy members, and also the Faraja security forces, which is part of, again, the IRGC. Confrontations involved multiple security vehicles, warning shots fired into the air, armed threats, and it kept going on. And according to the latest updates that we have, at least 5 Iraqi militias have been killed in these infighting. I'm not really sure what on earth is wrong with these idiots, but 5 PMU fighters from Iraq have been killed by the Islamic Republic security forces in the latest fights in central Tehran. The crazy thing about this is that they have brought these guys in because they know that the next thing that they have to expect in Iran is the Iranian people taking to the streets. They know that they have to prevent the uprising. And while these guys are patrolling the streets with guns, obviously the Iranian people are going to keep their heads down. The problem with this is that if you bring in a bunch of idiots from Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, there are always going to be clashes. And we've had it again. About a few weeks ago, there were some fights, but nobody got killed. They were just fighting like idiots. But this time around, weapons were used, and a number of them have been killed. We don't know if anybody has been injured, but the photo that you saw was not actually from there, by the way. The photo was from the previous rallies that they were having. So they had the fake paintball guns. That's not from the clashes, obviously. But it's absolutely fascinating that despite the infighting, nobody can control the Arabs who have taken to the streets of Tehran, Mashhad, Esfahan, and elsewhere. And that's still going on. If you think that the whole of the Islamic Republic is going to be united against, hypothetically speaking, ground invasion or uprising by the Iranian people, no, they're going to be all over the place. Obviously, they're going to do a massacre as usual, but they're not going to be organized. They're not going to be, there's no loyalty from the Iraqi proxies, for example.
I think it's good.
So the whole...
It's bottom line is that clearly the Iraqi militias and the IRGC in Tehran are not seeing eye to eye. I mean, you got to love it, but I think any of us could have predicted this. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out if you start seeing these guys getting basically PNG'd and tell them to go back to fucking Iraq.
Remember the purpose of the Basij when it was founded. The purpose of the Basij was to fight Iraqis.
Yeah.
It was a popular, it was the PMF movement, except in Iran.
In Iran,
for fighting against the Iraqi army during that war. So there's always going to be animosity between those two groups.
So this is the same problem as you guys talked about in the Maghreb. It is tribe X entering tribe Y's area of traditional control and saying, hey, I heard you guys screwed up. We're here to help. And you know how that ends up. That ends up with chest butting in the square. And then somebody pulls a gun, and guess what? And then you have a grudge that's going to go on for a long time.
My imam is better than your imam. Well, my Allah can kick your Allah's butt. And
I had this explained to me by a young man who he said, this is the quote, it's those guys in the black turbans, Jim. And I said, well, walk me through why you dislike them. What's not to dislike, Jim? The guys in the black turbans are out of their minds. So interesting. This is exactly that. It's a bunch of guys who worship the black turbans who are in a grudge match over tribal bullshit because one of them is failing. Yeah, you can't create a worse scenario from the standpoint of outcome for the Basij and the IRGC and the Quds Force than their old tribal proxies from the deserts of Western Anbar showing up in their town in American equipment with decent radios, challenging their authority.
Oh yeah. This
is a nightmare for the Quds Force.
That's a great point, because where do you think the PMF guys are getting their equipment? They're getting it from Iraq, from the Iraqi army, right? They actually there were units of the PMF that had M1 tanks at one point, because they were essentially National Guard to the Iraqi army. Yeah. Now, apparently, if I remember correctly, that got kind of got done away with. But it's still like you're right. Their radios, their guns, a lot of M4s in those groups, a lot of 50 cals, a lot of, things that are just American in nature, and i.e. better. Anyway, so yeah, it's a great point. Anything else, guys, on Iran that you guys want to talk about? I mean, we struck some targets. I guess they were pushing some boats out, and we sunk some boats and hit some port facilities. I mean, I think evidently there was a brand new Chinese anti-air system that got fucking, domed as well. But here's the interesting thing, chat. No CENTCOM social media kind of announcements of any of this stuff. Let me look at DOW, see if DOW put anything out. Usually they let CENTCOM lead the way on this kind of stuff. Let's see. Nope. They're talking a lot about SpaceX. Nope. I nothing. There's, everything was Memorial Day stuff. So I thought it was just really interesting that there's no active social media push by the Department of War in toto on this. That tells you that the administration is messaging that we're hitting these guys, but we're not hitting like Iran as a whole. So interesting, kind of messaging without messaging there. I know me and Joe already kind of talked about this a little bit, Jim. What was your kind of take on that?
On the attacks, the targeted attacks?
Yeah.
I think so. So at this point in a conflict where China is the supplier, you'll begin to see a wave of private companies selling things to the belligerent. So what'll happen is the government will step back, and all of a sudden private companies will be doing cash deals to put equipment into market. A lot of it'll be kind of new, kind of early testing. So I think the original stuff was an HQ9 or PL1. It's the what would be a Chinese Patriot type system.
Yeah.
They haven't done very well from what I can see. But the stuff that's coming in now will be SHORAD. It'll be the vehicle mounted stuff that somebody in China built to see if they could get a government contract. Somebody went out on the edge to build it, privately with private money. That kind of stuff is going to start flooding into Iran, and that'll come by road, maybe rail. And let's see how it performs. You've seen some of the sensor stuff, the IR stuff of aircraft going over. They had a IR run of an F-18 the other day. My guess is they're probably collecting data on RECM. That's going to be the way this goes. But I think ultimately there's no end game for the Iranians in this other than rotting like Cuba and Venezuela if they choose that path.
I mean, like this is of course a independent journalist, whatever. So your mileage may vary on this, but China secretly supplied 100 CM-302 anti-missile ships to Iran during the ceasefire. During today's attack on the U.S. Navy warships, Iran launched them, but none of them hit their targets, either intercepted or failed mid-flight due to technical issues. So
there you go.
Interesting stuff there.
Yeah, and that's the 302 is the export version of their latest anti-shipping platform, right?
Right.
It has lineage back to the Silkworm, back to the Gabriel, and back to the Harpoon. So all that technology went to Israel. The Israeli technology went to China, and then China began to develop on top of it.
Yeah.
The sad history of anti-shipping missiles in China.
Yes. All right, let's move on to more domestic stuff. There's some interesting stuff going on in New Jersey. Now, Joe, I know you retweeted about this one here. This poultry barricade. Clearly, somebody did not take your community security class.
They did not, and that's actually not a bad office chair. It's a waste of an office chair.
I wish I had one that nice.
And it's I don't know, man. The corrugated metal is kind of silly.
The hood of a car.
I've seen this work. This is downtown LA 101 architecture.
Yeah, they shipped in a bunch of homeless people. You guys can make tent cities. Why not make a?
I do like the diversity in that they had a pink dumpster from which to pull these things. So
it's almost like that dumpster was left there for that
very purpose. It doesn't look like a very formidable border or barrier at all. I don't know. It's pretty sad. We're going to use whatever junk we got here, and we're going to try and stop vehicle access. This one's an inconvenience at best. So.
Yeah, commies are no respecter of office furnitures. You can just smell the desperation in this video.
Yeah, I can smell half the people in this video.
So, Joe, I got a question. Why are the Mullins troops not making more arrests?
Why are what now? Try it again.
Why are the ERO guys and Mullins team why aren't they arresting these idiots?
because we completely caved in Minneapolis, and we are not about to go back down that road. Now, there was some violence last night between them, but not enough. What should have happened is the minute this began is they crushed this like a grape. But I think that Minneapolis scared us away from law enforcement. I mean, 2 people died. It got rather violent. But I pointed out last week that there's some messaging going around amongst the left that they need to return to Minneapolis level insurrection in order to get more attention to their cause. And I guess my answer is because Mark Wayne Mullen does not have any idea what he's doing in that role. He doesn't belong there.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I think, Mark Wayne Mullen may be a good man. I don't know him very well, but there are roles. I think he was not selected for his expertise in this field of endeavor. I think he was selected because he's politically loyal and he's trusted by the people. Sometimes there is a good reason for that, but other times,
the challenge I see is there's no incentive for the groups who were doing the protesting to step back. They're being paid to do this. This is a money-making venture, right?
I was going to say, there's a great point here. Marlene says no actual Newarkans in sight. Right. There's actually no one from Newark in this video, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These are bus-ins for sure.
These are people who have been hauled in from all over the country who do this professionally, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe we get the Spanish police to come over and deal with
them. the ones that greeted those commies at the airport the other day.
Yeah, the Bilbao Express.
So more just chicanery going on. There's that. I wonder if this. I guess this is before the barricade was built, because you could see the dumpster there in the background, and I don't see the barricade. So I just wonder maybe if where the timeline is here. All right. So Matt Vince says, could someone help me understand how these leftists have infinite amount of times on their hands to protest? It's just like you said, Joe. I barely have time to go to the grocery store after work. How do they have all day to go out and protest for illegal immigrant criminals? Because people are paying them. And we're going to get to where that money comes from in a minute.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. And somebody pointed this out. Like, this is the fucking NFL farm teams for the NGOs. Like, that's literally what they're doing here. They're on camera to be auditioned. They're auditioning to step up to the 7-figure salary roles, up from the 5- and 6-figure salary roles.
This is like, if you want to get a better role in an organizing thing, you have to do some time on the street, right? And that's what's going on here.
Gents, I apologize. We're even getting into my favorite topic, but I got to get going.
Okay. All right, we'll see you. Watcher. All right, in the effort of picking up the slack from Watcher, I will share the answer to the question. Let's see. There we go. All right. So this is Nate Freeman. He says, I've been reporting the Singles Paid Protest Network for the last year. This is a huge development. He pays people like close to $80,000 to protest. So now this is not recent, but this is very timely. Let's give a listen to this.
All right. So you can see that none of this is grassroots. This is all paid for. Hey, how you doing, guys? Where are we headed with these signs? Where are we going here? You guys are saying that this is grassroots, but this does not look very grassroots.
Uh-oh. Don't talk.
You guys do this for free? Show this to people. Let's say any of this is grassroots. Show it to them. Show them this clip. So all these signs that you see laid out right here are going to Columbus Circle for a protest that Roy Neville Singham is paying for, okay? A CCP billionaire who's trying to sow division into this country. He needs to be looked at, Roy Neville Singham. Oh, here we go, more signs. Oh my God.
Through a sniper scope, I'm just saying that could be one way to look at him, because you can observe with something like that without taking a shot. I'm just saying, hear me out. There are different ways that you could look at somebody. So before we kind of go down the rabbit hole of Roy Neville Singham, Hassan Piker, and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of this discussion, Jim, what I know you deal with people with lots of money and with influence and things like this, where these, this is kind of like the worst side of the whole Davos internationalist globalist crowd, right? Where do other wealthy people see these types of activities? Are they aware of it? Are they too focused on their own endeavors to kind of understand how this dark money is corrupting the very way of life in America?
Well, I think in the case of this Singham guy, I think there's an ego problem. I think there's a deep-seated leftist foundation inside of him, and it's become his persona. So as a psychotic narcissist, he can't separate himself from the need to do this, and he'll continue to do this. And he's a wealthy, useful idiot for the Chinese. So they captured him young. He's stayed with it. I think his parents were probably leftist, and he's just going to continue to do this. The fact that he still carries an American passport, it's interesting from the standpoint of his vulnerability. But at some point, I would denaturalize the guy. But I don't see motivations in Washington to do any of this kind of stuff anymore. National interest is kind of a fleeting concept.
Yeah. All right. So before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's go back to the street protest in New Jersey. So it wasn't just kind of happy-go-lucky stuff in the streets. It did get a little more spicy, as you can see here in this video. I don't know if Joe is able to see this here or not, but let's give this a look. So this is Joe. This is something I've seen in a couple of the different video clips from this protest. Is they appear to be identifying either troublemakers or shot callers, and then they're kind of rolling them up and taking them inside for arrest.
But it doesn't look like they actually pulled that one off. It looks like they got him back. But that's really the best way to handle these is if you can take out a leader, pull them back in, and arrest them. You can cut down on the agitation.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this, though. They need to start charging these people with conspiracy when they all show up wearing eye protection and a mask. That tells me you had criminal intent, right? You intended to be at a riot, not peaceful protest.
Yeah, it looks like they got this guy in because they kind of took off with him and then formed the line.
Well, they grabbed the second guy and threw him on the ground, but
this guy right here. This one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you. Yeah, well, actually, I think that's a woman, you never know. It could be she, him. Durna for $5 says over on Rumble says would be nice to have Sean here. I'm pretty sure you could arrest somebody for disorderly conduct based on the way they are equipped. I don't know about that.
No, disorderly conduct requires actual conduct. I want to give this guy props. This is one of your boomer protesters because he's still wearing a Casio.
Yeah,
in 1983. So well done.
Yeah. I mean, just because he's got bad taste in politics doesn't mean his watch sucks. I'm just saying. As somebody who bought a Casio recently. Now, I didn't buy it for myself. It was a gift.
Johnny Oxford points out they're shrieking about some guy, Adam, who they claimed is a medic. That's not magic. Being a medic means nothing. That's not an actual military force, not a military operation. You can claim to be a medic or legal observer all you want. Those are not a thing. There's no immunity for crimes just because you're a medic.
Nick Soder continuing to report on these protests. ICE is going super hard against rioters who are attempting to block their vehicles from entering the ICE Newark facility. Batons are being swung left and right, keeping rioters away from their vehicles. A stark difference from last night's so far. Let's give this a watch. Copious amounts of bear spray being... And this is what if I remember correctly, this is what our thumbnail kind of represents.
You better stay right there, sir. Stay right there.
Let me point out that using force, even standing in front of a vehicle, to prevent the enforcement of federal law is sedition.
Take a line.
Oh, they're smashing their hands with them. Stop, please stop.
And my point to that is that getting your arm smacked with an ASP baton and having 2 bones broken is the moderate option. It beats 20 years in prison, so you ought to be grateful that that's all they did to you.
Yeah.
Because they could have beaten you up and taken you to jail.
I tell you, Joe, I totally understand why these guys are not rounding all of these people up, because they just don't. The federal law enforcement is not low-end law enforcement. They don't have the numbers to just absolutely, So there is a conditioning that's going on in these left wings. I think you had it just right. These guys, they're seeing who is ready to rock and who's not, and eventually they're going to tool up and they're going to start doing kinetic, violent operations against the feds. It's coming.
I want to point something out. I mean, this is one thing. This is where they're recruiting from. But they're putting out a conspiracy theory over on Blue Sky and on Reddit that the DHS has been commissioned to buy a whole bunch of...
There's the Casio guy, by the way, again.
There's what?
Casio guy with the red hat on there.
Yeah. That's going to be a guy who ends up getting shot just like Freddy, right?
Yeah.
But there's a conspiracy theory that DHS is buying up crematoriums for the mass killing of immigrants. It's completely false, but they're eating it up, and they believe it to be true. That's why they're going to justify shooting these people.
Yeah.
Stay on the sidewalk. Stay on the sidewalk. On the sidewalk. Stay on the sidewalk. Are you up here? Good? Good? Hey, move!
I'll be honest with you, I can watch this all night long just because, these guys, I'm just waiting for somebody to crack a skull or two.
Having your hands up while breaking the law and obstructing federal law enforcement does not make you immune either, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I put my hands up and I walk directly into a law enforcement officer doing his job, I still obstructed him, right?
Yeah, right. They
believe that, oh, no, but I have my hands up, so it's okay. Where are you getting this from? A game of tag when you were 12?
As soon as you touch them, actually, it becomes that level of obstruction. So this was a funny kind of thing that happened. I just thought it was good. 2 brown guys just walked out of ICE's Newark facility, and leftists started cheering, only to find out they work there. They work here, dumbasses. The other the facility staffers could be seen laughing at the rioters from behind the gate. Let's give this a watch here.
They just made the assumption.
They're laughing. They just assumed. That's right.
They're just assuming that because they were brown, they must have been locked up there.
That's so funny, man.
See, I've got a solution to this problem, and it's just not that hard. So these bad boys do hurt. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just to kind of go back, they were arresting people, which is this is important, right? You have to like target some of these, either somebody who just goes too far, or somebody who is identified as a ringleader. This is Andy No reporting federal law enforcement arrest rioters who are shutting down access to Delaney Hall. For days, the militants have been building an autonomous zone and blocking egress. So let's give this a watch. They're human beings. That is not a human being that is being dragged in. They have no heart.
You know what's going on? And there's a hunger strike. 5 days.
You have to have killed your heart to be doing what you're doing.
There has to be a suspect in your heart.
Can I just say that you might think you're going to change the mind of these law enforcement officers, but they're not actually listening to you.
Right. The irony, Joe, is that they're actually making them harder when you act like this, because you know, it's like if somebody was reasonable, they wouldn't even be here.
None of us can hurt you. None of us.
That's right. You can't. So go home.
With bullets and batons. And what else? What else?
It's not a tank, bro. It's not a tank. Stop it.
Well, you know, I mean, it's the
That's not even an infantry fighting vehicle.
The Michael Tracy School of Vehicle. All right, back to Devil Singham, because I wanted to talk about this because Hassan Piker did something really interesting. Let me see if I can find which one. All right, let me do this one first, and then I'll go to the next one. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going to play the video first, and then we can kind of go through the litany of stupidity here.
Yeah, I think that the target is.
By the way, Hassan Piker, if you don't know, streamer, political commie.
Probably Singham and his operation from PSL to Answer Coalition to Code Pink.
I mean, let's just lay out exactly what the network. Jim, I really am going to be interested to get I want you to listen to this. I don't know if you've heard this, Jim, but I want to get your take on this because Hassan Piker was the one who was. Joe, was it that he was being indicted?
No, it was subpoenaed.
Subpoenaed. That's what it was, and it scared the shit out of him, and that's why he's basically blabbing at this.
That's why he's all of a sudden wearing a suit and not dressing like a ridiculous idiot.
It's not new. It's been around for a while, but it's obviously it's held through regardless because it's ridiculous, right? It's totally fucking ridiculous to try and to try and stop the political advocacy of an American citizen, right? Roy Singham is an American citizen. He lives in China now, and he's a centimillionaire. I think he has almost $1 billion. Not sure how much money he has now, but he's been a funding vehicle for a lot of political movements in the country, a lot of activism. And they hate that shit. The American government hates that shit, so they're trying to jam him up. You know, they're trying to hit him on anything and everything they possibly can. That's it. That's the goal here. That's the broader goal.
Huh. Yeah. Wow. Jim, I mean, is it surprising that, these guys, this is how you know Hassan is a true believer, because he just comes right out and says it well, what's wrong with it?
Well, this is kind of the problem in this country is we've developed this class of young people, so the under 35, and I'm glad Watcher's not here because he'd come back
God
at
love
me.
him. God love him, but you're right.
They believe they've invented Marxism and socialism. So Singham's father was a revolutionary. He was a communist. He came to the United States as a communist. He came to the United States to do communist work in the United States. He got involved in the Black Revolutionary movement, right? This kid is a product of that, and he was brought up in that world. So he clearly loved Mao. He loved the communists. He loved the Chinese Communist Party. And so when he made his money and sold his company, he joined the revolution in the only way he could. He went to the Chinese and said, "What do I do?" And they said, "Oh, well, you got to work with our works group. And we got a problem. Our worst province is this place called Guizhou. And we want you to do something for the rural poor out of Guizhou on a global basis." So they turned him into an agent of the state. That's what he is. He's an agent of the China state, out spending his money on behalf of global revolution. And part of global revolution, from his perspective, and clearly from the United Works people in China, are to undermine the United States and turn it into a socialist country. They're paying for it. It's where the signs are coming from, folks. That's where the uniforms are coming from. That's where the tactics and training are coming from. This is China through guys like Singham. He's not the only one.
Yeah.
He just happens to be a wealthy one.
You say global revolution like it's a bad thing.
It's absurd. It's completely and utterly absurd to watch these people do what they're doing.
More importantly, it's absurd to watch them do what they do and then claim to be the victim. Right?
Yeah.
He knows that he is involved in a vast international conspiracy against the stability of the U.S., and yet he's going to claim to be the victim.
All right, let's dive into a little more about this. Okay, because I think this post actually does a pretty good job of breaking some of this out. Hassan Piker is a Turkish-American Muslim Marxist influencer who spends about 6 hours a day on a platform called Twitch. Most of you guys all know about Twitch. Mostly talking to himself to an audience that experts say includes kids. Let me go further than that. It is mostly young people, i.e., 21 and younger. It skews a little older now, 25 and younger. But I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't have a sizable percentage of his audience is 16 to call it 19, right? That teen years where they think they fucking know everything. And they know just enough to actually start to believe that bullshit. On Monday, Piker publicly acknowledged that China-based American Marxist Neville Roy Singham acts as a funding vehicle for a lot of political movements and political advocacy operations in the United States. Now, this is something we've known for a while, but the fact that it's always been kind of like, ipse on the commies, kind of stuff. But he just came right out and said it. Singham himself acted as a political operative, canvassing for candidates endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America, who used the rose as a symbol. He's the red and the green in the red and green alliance of the far left. He's the red, with the far left and Muslims. His remarks in the first candidate admission of the political agenda of Singham, his comments would intensify ongoing congressional and federal scrutiny of the far left nonprofit network Singham funded. Oh, and by the way, all of this shit is connected to all of the Antifa. Antifa as a communist or as a terrorist network. So his connections to People's Forum, Breakthrough News, Tricontinental, Code Pink, PSL, Answer, all of these kind of umbrella organizations. Like, this guy is to Soros today what Soros was back in the 2000s with Acorn and all of these other kind of, the Tides Foundation, and the Open World Foundation, all of these various kind of George Soros. Singham is doing that now. Oh, and by the way, George Soros is still doing it too, mainly through his son. Though I think his son realized that he needs to kind of be a little less visible.
So Scott, the thing that's different with this group is these people are urban Marxists.
Yeah.
Right? These are Maoist Marxist fundamentalists. I mean, this is where Code Pink came from, right?
Yeah.
He married one of the founders of Code Pink. Code Pink came out of an organization funded by this guy. All right. And it was all around union organization in Las Vegas. People want to kind of put all this stuff out of their minds, right? Which is, it's Code Pink. It started in Washington. No, Code Pink went to Washington with the money and the union support. So think about all the agitation. How many times in the last 10 years have you seen an SEIU sign at one of these protests? So it's all of the labor union folks surrounding the restaurant workers, hotel workers, what I would call the lower class union labor business across the country. The purple signs you see, it all comes out of the same money font. But the urban Marxist movement that Singham is part of funded that whole movement over the past 20 years in the United States. And it's been very effective. It's distorted places like Vegas. If you look at, New York now, the maids union, the cleaners union in the hotels, $120,000 a year base salary. All right.
Yeah.
Hotels in New York are already unaffordable, but the unions have got such incredible control now that Mondami's there, that these distortions are having serious meaning to the economics of various major cities. And this is perfect from the Chinese perspective. Make it unsurvivable, make it unstable. So their support of this guy Singham has been very productive for them.
So here's the so here's the thing, Joe, we've talked about in the past, like, traitors and, insurrection and, various levels of internal opposition to the United States. I mean, this guy is about as clear as I could see of somebody who, this guy needs to go away. And I can't imagine there isn't something that wouldn't apply to what he's doing as far as in the federal code. Are
you talking about Neville Roy Singham, or are you talking about
Neville Roy Singham? No, let's be honest. Hassan is just a weak mouth, mealy-mouthed mouthpiece for Singham, and that's the reason why he fucking spilled his guts the first time he had a little bit of federal interest.
I will point out that if I was the United States government, I wouldn't worry so much about laws. This is what rendition is for. Guys like Neville Roy Singham. And I'm sorry that that's not nice to say, but Neville Roy Singham needs to just vanish into a very dark hole and life would get better in America. Otherwise, you risk making him a martyr to the cause. Some people might say, oh, well, you know what? Killing him would make him a bigger martyr. No, putting him through the American legal system would give him a platform. Don't do that. Just like, oh, we don't know what happened to him. He just, one night, someone broke into his house and he vanished.
Yeah. So the irony is that I think Jim's idea of basically revoking his citizenship would be step one, and then step two is what Joe just said. And then you put out something out to the media that says that China basically disappeared him because it happened, like while he's living in China.
Yeah, once he began supporting these groups, he is advocating for the violent overthrow of the United States government, and that puts him that puts his citizenship able to be revoked. I think that's a good start.
Yeah, but we can't make arrests. We can't make arrests on the streets in New Jersey, so don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. Actually, I think he's in Singapore. I'm sure we had somebody
Neville
on the
Royce
page.
Ingham? No, he's not.
Is he?
No, he's in Shanghai.
He's in China.
Is he in Shanghai now? Okay.
His son is not. He's got a global network. This is a global network. And it's not just his money. It's commingling with Chinese organized crime money. It's a massive network of organizations. He just happens to be the American poster boy of Marxism these days. And Hassan is the face. Hassan is the sex idol, and Singham is the money bag.
Yeah.
And they can say, look, these Americans who are Marxists, you see, Marxism will survive. Socialism is good. Communist Party is good. And they commingle the message.
Durna2 for $5 over on Rumble says, we put too much emphasis on what these individuals believe and their identity group or ideology. They are all megalomaniacs who view revolutionary ideology as a vehicle for their power fans. Well, so that's the interesting thing, right?
Yeah,
she's exactly right.
That's the difference. So you have essentially two types of people in a communist, ideology. You have exactly what you just described, the megalomaniacs, and then you have everybody else. And this is why communism is a complete farce. And guess what? When one megalomaniac starts and does one thing, and then the next megalomaniac lines him up against the wall, shoots them, says it's for the good of the revolution, and then continues on with his own megalomaniac program until the next generation of megalomaniacs does the same thing to him. If you look at the Soviet Union, it's literally the template. Every 20 years or so in the Soviet Union, you'd have a renewal of the Soviet proletariat and international communism through the erasure of the last strongman. It's just the way it works. The only good guy in the pantheon of the Soviet was Lenin, because he was nice enough to die early enough on before they had to get rid of him and denounce him. Sorry. That ends my TED talk. All right. I think that's good enough, guys. I think we hit all the high points. I had another one, but it basically says a lot of the same stuff. Let's go around the horn. Joe, middle of the week, anything that's burning a hole in your pocket?
There are two things that I would watch for the remainder of the week. One is an Iranian response. We punched them in the eye pretty hard, and Iran has said that they're not going to let that stand. That being said, Iran was in the wrong, and they were indeed out doing bad things, but they're going to do something about it. Two, Newark is going to go absolutely over the top insane. The left has been hoping for this. The other night when it appeared as though ICE just caved and let it go, that was a response they didn't want. They wanted the response they got last night. They wanted a violent response from the federal government, because that enables fundraising. That brings more foot troops out there. It creates more controversy and more "see Trump's a Nazi" footage. So I would watch for them to turn it up to 13 tonight and really, really push things.
I think you're spot on there. Jim?
This is what happens when you lose control of governorships in important states like New Jersey. The New Jersey State Police not showing up at all is an obscenity. It's an obscenity.
Yeah. If you had coordinated law enforcement response to every one of these, from local, state, and federal, you would be able to arrest a lot of these bad actors. And that's one of the reasons why they don't do a lot of these events in red states or in municipal areas that support the federal. They do them in places that they have local alliances. So I think that's interesting.
Hold
Darth
on.
Kitty,
I have an image for her. You ready? Darth Kitty, are you ready? This is the image that we're willing to share with you. Okay. Go right ahead, Scott.
there you go.
No.
let me just say, so I have successfully logged into our CFC, Discord. So I would invite you guys to come over there. Let me see if I can do. Let's see. Can I share this? And then I share it here. Let's see. Invite. I don't know. I don't know. It's somebody. If you're in the fan chat, somebody dropped, I think, the link in the fan chat. That is the location. I'm sure we could even set up like a room, a room to share your thirst traps, your Pete Hegseth thirst traps. I support you guys.
If you let them in, there will be a Pete Hegseth subroom. I guarantee.
Well, yeah, we'll put it right next to the Bible study verses room. That way, you can feel guilty every time you click on it. And so I'm just saying, that would be the place for that type of content. Discord. That's the degeneracy goes in Discord. That's all I'll say. I don't want to kind of go down this rabbit hole, but this is where I think we're going to start seeing a lot of action, I guess, in the near future. We've seen British politics has taken a turn to the right recently, but I think there's a lot of pain in England to come. And so this story kind of gives us a hint of where it's probably going to go. A teenage boy was... Huh?
I got to go, man.
All right, we'll see. This is my prediction. A teenage boy was hacked to death with a machete in Hacksay, East London. A fight broke out between a house party spilled out the streets. Multiple individuals armed with machetes were involved. There were also reports of gunshots. He was hacked to death by a machete. I think that's the future in England, and it's not going to be good. So that's my prediction. All right, guys, that's all we have for today. Thank you for being here. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to Watcher. Too bad they couldn't stay to the end. Thank you for Jim for making me not be alone by myself here at the end. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Let people know you're getting some good stuff over here on the CFC. Go to the Discord. Keep the conversation going. We can have a lot of fun in there. We will see you back on Friday, same time, same channel. Until then, stay safe.